and happily voice them. The British are the worst, one woman told us, saying the UK had betrayed Russia over Ukraine. But despite that, there is still a fondness for Britain to be found here. Indeed, Russians' long-standing appreciation of British culture is still on display. Bookshops still stock British classics, both past and present. British music is still everywhere, as is the English language. I've now bumped into Liana a few times while walking my dog. "Good morning, Mr. Russian Englishman." This is what she calls me now. She tells me her daughter is rereading Lord of the Rings. "What beautiful language," she says, adding she hopes they'll get to visit the UK one day, when all this is over. My dog-walk encounters are not scientific surveys, but despite attempts by officials and Russian state media to tarnish Britain's image here, I conclude most people still put a healthy distance between politics and people. At least the dog lovers do.
Ben Taverner in Moscow with our last words for this week. I'm Pascal Harter. The producer was Polly Hope, and we'll be back with fresh stories next weekend. So do join us again then, here on the BBC World Service.
That was the BBC programme from our own correspondent. I'm Saroja Coelho.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us. This is Information Radio live from downtown Winnipeg on CBC. I'm Marcy Marcusa. You're on 89.3 FM, 990 AM on that app on YouTube. And wherever you're joining us from, thanks for being here. We are in it now with the cold weather. We're also going to get some more snow. Winnipeg today, 2 to 4 centimeters of snow expected. Periods of snow will begin around noon today, so a cloudy start to the day. Brandon, you're going to get about 5 centimeters of snow today. And up in Thompson, periods of light snow for you. Your high is going to be right around minus 20. And I should mention Brandon's going to be sitting at minus 10. So as mentioned, I'm Marcy Marcusa with the morning show. We will be on the air with you till 8:37 today. And let's say good morning to the team. Corey Funk, thank you. He's just dropping something off. You might have seen him on camera. Corey's our studio director, and also we'll be covering the commute, which should be okay. If not, it's early. Check 511 on highways, 788-3093 if you need Corey. Good morning, Abby Adiemi behind the controls. Abby's our lead tech on the show. Abby also will be covering the forecast on air. And there is Darren Marash, our producer of our YouTube stream. Morning, Darren. And say hello there if you're watching the show. Josh Crabb in once again for Heather Wells this morning. He's here with your CBC Manitoba news headlines. Hi, Josh.
Good morning, Marcy. A man from Mexico says he toiled long hours 7 days a week for nearly a year working at a hotel in southwest Manitoba without getting the proper pay. 2 broken elevators in an Osborne Village high-rise are causing big problems for the 55-plus building's 180 residents. They stopped working in the aftermath of a power outage Manitoba Hydro says was caused by a squirrel. And excitement is growing in Winnipeg following the announcement over the weekend the Jets will host an outdoor game next season. The 2026 Heritage Classic will be played on October 25th at Princess Auto Stadium. Your next local CBC News is at 6:30.
But of course, Josh, what was really classic about that was that they leaked it before by accident.
Yeah, and then announced it on Saturday.
I know.
So it was like the worst kept secret, I guess, this week. But
I don't think it'll change the excitement, though.
I don't think so.
What a matchup. That'll be fun, right?
Yeah, it should be good. Yeah. Lots of Montreal fans in Winnipeg, too, of course. So.
Yeah, there are. All right, thank you.
You bet.
Let's get into what else is coming up on the program today. So we will have sports, by the way. We have that every morning on the show at 7:25. In the first hour, we're going to talk about chronic pain and how it has a major impact on someone's life. It's not always taken seriously by medical professionals. We're going to talk about a task force that wants to change that. And we'll give an update from Friday's Make the Season Kind for Harvest Manitoba. Stay tuned.
On Q.
Bye.
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 Maggie O'Farrell wrote the novel Hamnet after she learned that William Shakespeare lost a son right before he wrote Hamlet. Now that novel has been adapted into a movie starring Paul Mescal and Jessie Buckley. Maggie will be here to talk about what drew her to that story and why we don't know that much about Shakespeare. Q with Tom Power this morning at 10:30 in Newfoundland and on CBC Listen or wherever you get your podcasts.
This is World Report. Good morning, I'm Dave Seglins. Air Transat pilots are poised to walk off the job as early as Wednesday. Their union issued a 72-hour strike notice yesterday, and now the Montreal-based company is preparing for flight cancellations. And thousands of holiday travelers are worried that their plans may be about to change. Caroline Bargout reports.
So I was looking forward to this.
Rebecca Robertson is supposed to fly to Punta Cana on Tuesday. Those plans now up in the air.
So now I'm sitting here and I'm crying and I'm anxious because I don't know what's going to happen and nobody can tell me what's going to happen.
I can guarantee you this is a last resort.
Bradley Small is the spokesperson for the pilots union. He says their contract was negotiated 10 years ago and needs to be brought in line with what Air Canada and WestJet pilots receive.
We hope within the next few days we'll hammer out a fair agreement, fair to us, fair to the pilots, fair to the company, and be there to fly those airplanes.
Air Transat says the strike notice is premature. Dave Bordage is the vice president of flight operations. He says the company has offered a 59% wage increase over 5 years and hopes the two sides can come to an agreement soon.
What we've put on the table is a very generous offer for the pilot. What we're asking them to do is be at the table and make proposals that are in line with that.
In the meantime, Air Transat says it will begin repatriating passengers to keep them from getting stranded if there is a strike. It's also allowing concerned passengers to rebook their flights free of charge. Caroline Bargout, CBC News, Vancouver.
I have to say that I'm a little bit disappointed that President Zelensky hasn't yet read the proposal. That was as of a few hours ago.
U.S. President Donald Trump is once again criticizing Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky. Trump claims that while Ukraine's negotiators like the newly adapted U.S. peace plan, Zelensky has yet to even read it. Trump's comments come after negotiations were held between Ukrainian and American officials over the weekend.
Бажаю здоров'я. Вже зараз почнемо новий дипломатичний тиждень. Будуть консультації.
In his weekly address, Zelensky calls the weekend talks constructive, but not easy. He is set to meet with the leaders of the UK, France, Germany today in London to discuss the latest changes to the peace proposal. He will then head to Brussels to meet with NATO and EU leaders. Zelensky says the sides remain split over territorial concessions. Meanwhile, the U.S. president wants to investigate anti-competitive behavior in America's food supply chain. Donald Trump has announced that he is establishing food supply chain security task forces. They will be investigating the risks of price fixing and what they may be costing American households. The CBC's Willie Lowry joins me now from Washington. Willie, what do we know about this latest directive from Trump?
The Trump administration is trying to tackle rising grocery prices as it grapples with an affordability crisis. Over the weekend, President Donald Trump signed an executive order to stop what the administration calls price fixing and anti-competitive actions, especially by foreign companies. The administration says, quote, foreign-controlled companies are increasingly involved in key segments, potentially creating national security risks and driving up the costs of food for American families. Under the executive order, Trump has called for both the Justice Department and the Federal Trade Commission to create task forces to look into the problem. The task forces will be required to report back to Congress in 6-month intervals about what they found and any recommendations they may have.
So will this move have any impact on the price of groceries anytime soon?
It's unlikely the average American household will see a difference in the near future. The task force has that 6-month process before it reports to Congress and a year to provide progress reports. Even then, they will have to provide recommendations to Congress. But this is part of a wider effort by the Trump administration to show Americans that it's tackling the high prices of food. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent said the administration's efforts are working.
What we're not going to do is say that Americans don't know what they're feeling. We've been working on it every day. But remember, we've got this embedded inflation from the Biden years.
President Trump will travel to Pennsylvania later this week as part of a concerted effort to convince Americans that his economic agenda is working for them.
The CBC's Willie Lowry in Washington. Thanks, Willie.
My pleasure.
Thailand and Cambodia are accusing each other of breaking their ceasefire. The Thai army released this video showing an explosion in what it claims is Sisaket province near the border with Cambodia. The video has not been independently verified. Thailand claims Cambodia mobilized heavy weaponry, so it launched airstrikes along the disputed border. A spokesperson for Cambodia's Ministry of Defense says the Thai side fired first and its own troops did not retaliate. People are fleeing their villages on both sides of the border. In October, U.S. President Donald Trump pushed Thailand and Cambodia to sign a ceasefire deal, but since then, tensions have continued to simmer. The Nigerian government says it has secured the release of 100 school children. The students were taken on November 21st in what is considered to be one of the country's worst mass kidnappings. More than 300 children and school staff were kidnapped by armed gunmen in Niger State. It is the latest in a new surge of violent attacks and kidnappings that are prompting many parents to keep their kids home from school. As Kunle Babs reports, experts warn that without stronger security, a generation could lose its chance to learn.
I'm worried that the delay in our education is going to drag me back.
13-year-old Ephraim Okon dreams of becoming an engineer, but instead of being in class, he has been stuck at home after his school in Abuja, Nigeria's capital, shut down due to kidnapping threats.
The insecurity is going to give me a setback for me not to achieve my dream.
His mother, Glory, says fear now decides her son's education, not teachers or textbooks.
I feel pain and disorganized. It's scary. He's supposed to be in school, receiving lectures, preparing for the exam.
Ephraim is among thousands of students forced out of class after the government closed 47 federal unity schools nationwide, following a wave of attacks. Just last November, gunmen attacked and abducted over 300 pupils in 2 separate incidents.
It has huge negative effects on the learners.
Bakore Moyo is a school teacher also based in Abuja. She says the break in learning could have long-term consequences.
Because they get to miss time in learning, there's a gap in their learning experience.
Nigeria has Africa's largest number of out-of-school children, more than 18 million according to the United Nations. The government has announced sweeping security measures, from new chiefs to expanded police recruitment. But for parents like Glory, every day at home feels like a day lost, and many fear young Nigerians may never reclaim the futures they once dreamed of. Kunle Babs for CBC News, Abuja, Nigeria.
Today marks 1 year since rebel forces in Syria toppled the brutal and long-ruling government of Bashar al-Assad. After more than 13 years of war, the country is still affected by sectarian violence, but is more stable. Over the past year, hundreds of thousands of Syrians who fled the war have returned home. But as Briar Stewart reports, many more are waiting for the country to rebuild.
Hussein al-Sheikh Mohammed stands with his identity cards in hand, getting ready to cross a border he first went over 13 years ago as a teenager. He was one of more than 3 million Syrians who fled the civil war and settled in Turkey. Now he, along with his wife and their daughter, are heading back. We have a lot of excitement, he says. We want our country to rise up. According to Turkish officials, more than 500,000 Syrians living in Turkey made the same journey in the past year. Merva Doğru is a senior specialist in migration coordination at the Turkish Red Crescent.
The biggest challenge is legal procedures and missing documents.
She says children cannot go to Syria without their parents or legal guardians. Some are having to go to court to get the proper paperwork. She says sometimes families come into information centers asking for guidance.
They come and ask, if I return to Syria, how can I enroll my children to education, or how can I access to health services?
The World Bank estimates it will cost more than $200 billion US to rebuild Syria. Mohammed's hometown, Aleppo, is among the cities most in need of reconstruction. The neighborhood we live in is a bit ruined, he says, but he hopes they will be able to rebuild their homes and their lives. Briar Stewart, CBC News at the Ottopanar border crossing in Turkey.
And that is the latest national and international news from World Report. I'm Dave Seglins. This is CBC News.
Good Monday morning, everyone. I'm Marcy Marcusa. This is Information Radio. We're live in downtown Winnipeg on 89.3 FM, 990 AM on the app and YouTube. We're going to get some snow, especially you, Brandon. We'll mention a weather statement that's been issued for Brandon and part of the Parkland region. Abby will have that for you in just a moment. Winnipeg's expecting 2 to 4 centimeters of snow this Monday morning. Hopefully you had a great weekend. Thanks for being with us. You're on CBC, 89.3 FM, 990 AM on that app and on YouTube. This hour on the show, chronic pain. We're going to talk about it. Why? Because apparently it is not always taken seriously by medical professionals, but it can have major impacts on people's lives. We're going to have a report this hour from the Canadian Pain Task Force that wants to change how people look at chronic pain. Also, another project from our students over at the Sisler Create program. CBC has partnered with them. Today, they're looking at the popularity of Filipino billiard players. And we will give you an update on how generous you were, and boy, were you generous on Friday. In case you missed it, Friday was our day to make the season kind across all of our CBC platforms in support of Harvest Manitoba and its member agencies, some 400 across the province. We will have the CEO and the president of Harvest, executive Harvest rather, in studio to tell us about those final tallies and how far your dollars are going to go to help others. So it's all good news. Spoiler alert, but that's coming up just before 7. Right now, 6:11, speaking of news overall, Josh Crabb is in once again with our headlines. Good morning.
Good morning, Marcy. Foreign workers are accusing a hotel chain in Manitoba and Saskatchewan with a history of labor violations of taking advantage of them, including a man from Mexico who says he worked long hours for nearly a year without getting the proper pay. 2 elevators are broken in an Osborne Village high-rise in the aftermath of a power outage last Thursday morning, which Manitoba Hydro says was caused by a squirrel. Now, some of the 180 residents at the 55-plus building can't leave their suites. And a former Winnipeg Jets goalie expects there to be a passionate show of fandom when the team hosts an outdoor game next season. The 2026 Heritage Classic will be played at Princess Auto Stadium October 25th. Your next local CBC News is at 6:30.
Squirrels. They're cute in cartoons doing such things, but not in real life.
No, yeah, they caused some problems last week.
No kidding. All right. Thank you, Josh.
Thank you.
Let's get into this forecast. Abby, where do you want to start? Good morning.
Well, Marcy, I will tell you, it's going to be like a chilly and snowy start to the beginning of the week for most of the regions. And the main story is going to be that winter storm approaching the Parkland and the Western region, though we're still seeing those bitter colds in the northern part of the province this morning. Looking at conditions here in Winnipeg, let's take off from here. We're sitting at that cold -14 right now at the Forks. It's going to hold steady before it climbs to about -11 later this afternoon. A few flurries will build this morning, and that will bring more snow by the time you get towards your lunch break. So you should expect snow in the city this morning. And if you're going to be making that transition from one bus to another, the wind chill, -23. That's what it's going to feel like. Conditions across the south, we're looking at that's consistent, hovering between -13 and -15s in most of the regions, and we'll just see temperatures warm up to about -10 in a lot of areas. Light snow already falling around Brandon and Dauphin at this time. Now for the special weather statements in effect for the Westman and the Parkland region, I'm currently tracking this large winter storm that is going to be, threatening to bring heavy snow, periods of strong winds, and even freezing rain towards Brandon and Dauphin by tomorrow morning and into Wednesday, which will be making travel really difficult. So be prepared for that. Something coming your way. I see it on the radar. But up north, we're seeing temperatures just averaging between -18s and -23s this morning. And the wind chill around Churchill, Marcy, it feels like -42 there.
Yep. We'll take a moment for your shirt later, by the way. I haven't forgotten to notice this, so I just need to boogie. Abby is always wearing festive stuff in December. It's the best. Corey Funk, what do you know about the commute?
Yes, very quiet commute so far. Haven't heard of any major issues yet, but if you're out there, you're walking, you're biking, you're driving, you see something going on, you can give me a call on the CBC commuter line. That number, 204-788-3093.
Well, Create students Blake Poggio, as well as Tarek Barhume, Lucas Lafort, and Luke Tenorio produced a short video that we're going to hear a little bit about to start the show this morning. This is the latest in our special series of stories produced by these students. They're filmmaking students in the Create program at Sisler High School, in collaboration, as I mentioned, with CBC Manitoba. So this week, they introduce us to a thriving community of billiard players who share the love of the game with their love of their Filipino heritage. As it turns out, the game of pool pool is a big deal in the Philippines, and Filipino Manitobans here share that passion as well. Here's their story, starting with hearing from billiard player Marvin Kiambo.
The game of billiards is very important to the Filipino community. It's equivalent to hockey here in Canada. And just like here, kids play it at a really, really young age. You can play it until you're old. Everybody can play it. There's so many things to love about playing pool. The game is very intricate. To the average person watching the game of pool, it's just, somebody's holding a stick, they're hitting a cue ball, hitting a ball into a pocket. But there's a lot more than that. No two racks are ever the same. And also the fact that I can play it till the day I die, it's a game. As long as I can walk, as long as I can see, as long as I can move my back arm and stroke it, I'll be able to play pool. So those are the biggest reasons why I love to play.
Filipino billiards community is very important to me because I've been playing pool for 13 years, and whenever I play pool, I feel alive. I've been working in Canada for 7 years, and it feels like it's very stressful to work for 7 days. Whenever I see a lot of people playing pool, it kind of makes me forget about the stress.
I'm born here in Canada, so it's a little bit different for me, but there was already a small community of Filipino pool players who had immigrated here that kind of started, playing around, whether it's just for money or just for fun at Bourbon Street Billiards. I got to meet them, and the group got bigger from there.
So whenever I look around and see these people playing, I feel like it makes me, it inspires me to play more and to improve myself, because I see a lot of good players here. And this is not just, yes, we're having fun and playing pool, but this is also a profession. And we try to improve our abilities every single day.
The challenges faced early on is that a lot of stuff were mainly tournaments. And, just to try and get Filipinos and just even other pool players in general together, it was a little bit more difficult back in the day, but now with Facebook, social media, and it's a lot easier to tell a whole bunch of people that there's something going on in the pool community. It's a lot better and a lot easier nowadays. Well, an event to show that the Filipino community was really thriving is just as recent as this week. We ended up deciding to get a small all Filipino pool tournament together. And you know what? It wasn't very long to get people together. Within an hour, all 32 spots were filled. And I talked to the owners here at Crazy 8 Billiards and Lounge to see if they can get more tables. So they gave me more tables. So we expanded the tournament to 40 players. And within the next 30 minutes, the rest of the spots were taken. So that it's thriving when you're able to just put a post up for a tournament and everybody shows up and it's filled within an hour. So the pool community in general, not just the Filipino one, it's starting to get big again. So ever since COVID, I think it's finally getting back to where it was before.
No pressure, no pressure.
Billiard players in the video produced by Sisler Create students. So the billiard players, Marvin Kiambo, as well as Ellison Brotinel and Duque Jr. The story produced by the students, Blake Pagio, as well as Tarek Barhume, Lucas Laforte, and Luke Tenorio, with support from CBC Manitoba. For more on the story, cbc.ca/Manitoba. Well, we go from the popularity of billiards in the Filipino community to the popularity of music. This artist happens to be Filipino. This is Rain and City of Light.
Why do I feel so alone in my room? The silence is getting to me. Why am I up so late at night? I'm honestly just missing you. I called you up at 1 a.m. Couldn't sleep, I want you to hold me. Oh, snuck out to go for a drive, but little did I know that's when everything changed. Driving around downtown in our minivan, turn on the radio. full blast. Hands in the air, hands in the air. Sped so fast that we couldn't see where we're going. Skyscrapers are towering, stars turn into city lights. Somewhere far, far away from all our strains, hoping to see what the world has in store. Just hold on tight. Speeding down Route 65, wind on our hairs. I want you to kiss me, wrapped around in your arms. But little did I know, that's when everything changed. Driving around downtown in our minivan, turn on the radio on full blast. Hands in the air, hands in the air. Sped so fast that we couldn't see where we're going. Skyscrapers are towering, stars turn into city lights. Stars turn into city lights.
Winnipeg Rain and City of Light on CBC to start our Monday morning here. It is 6:22 a.m. on 89.3 FM, 990 a.m. on the app and YouTube. But we have a story in the next hour that's the complete opposite of City of Light. It is about a film, and they're documenting efforts to find a dark place. Manitoba's on the cusp of establishing its second dark sky preserve. Now, if you don't know what that is, we'll explain what a dark sky preserve is. We'll also meet one of the astronomers and the filmmaker who captured the quest in a brand new film. So that's coming up in the next hour right here on Information Radio. Right now, though, we have a story about chronic pain. When you see someone who shows physical signs of battling a disease, or maybe they happen to be using a wheelchair and it's related to disease, you often will easily recognize that. But in the world of chronic pain and invisible illness, things like lupus, fibromyalgia, endometriosis, it's very different. Non-visible chronic conditions can be difficult to diagnose. Many women in particular go years not being believed. Advocates say the healthcare system needs to change around this. The Canadian Pain Task Force says a report released back in 2021 provides the tools to help if more doctors were aware of it. So we're going to talk about it this morning. Maria Hudspeth is with us, Executive Director of Pain BC and Pain Canada and co-chair of the Canadian Pain Task Force. Good morning.
Good morning, Marcy. Nice to be with you.
Thanks for being with us. Yes. I want to get right into the report. 2021, you offer the solutions in this report to help. What are the core recommendations here?
Well, there are 6 goals with about 150 recommendations underneath them. The goals can be summarized as improving access to pain care across the country, raising awareness and combating stigma, making sure health professionals are trained to assess and treat chronic pain, improving research and the infrastructure to get those breakthroughs around how to treat this wicked problem, and really addressing issues of equity. So we know that certain populations are disproportionately impacted by chronic pain, and we need to take their specific needs into consideration. So that's a very quick summary of the recommendations.
So let's dig into one of the populations, particularly, as I mentioned, women. Why is pain so difficult to diagnose and often ignored in women?
Well, we know that chronic pain itself has often been ignored. So we've understood historically pain as a symptom of something else. We now know that when pain lasts longer than 3 months, it can often be chronic primary chronic pain. So chronic pain that is a condition in and of itself. But that historical disbelief that pain is real layered on top of the kind of gender bias that women often experience, that creates a very potent combination. And often women's pain can be invisible. So it might be endometriosis, it might be other chronic conditions that women are disproportionately affected by. And we just see still to this day women being told, this is in your head, this is due to emotional problems, this is something where you're just seeking attention or you're just seeking drugs. And we know that for the vast majority of people, that is not true. Pain is real, and there are things that we can be doing to better treat it.
Things like what? You mentioned the 6 recommendations, but what do you do to treat it? Because often that's part of the problem with chronic pain is it's very difficult to treat.
That is true, but we know that when pain becomes chronic, it often is pain that's being produced in the brain and nervous system. So that is the pain processing center in our body. And we know that when pain becomes chronic, it can become, it's almost like, if we use a computing analogy, it's almost like the difference between a problem with your computer hardware and your computer software. When it's a problem with your mouse, maybe your mouse is broken, your keyboard's broken, that's a problem that you can see and easily diagnose. But when it's a software problem, that's something that's running in the background, it's invisible, it doesn't show up on a scan. And that's often the case with chronic pain, where it's that software problem, the brain and the nervous system that's processing pain that's malfunctioning. So once we know that it's not a hardware problem, it's a software problem, we know that there are things that we can do. So these can be, this can be medication, but it can also be things like psychological support, mindfulness, learning to calm the nervous system, occupational therapy, physical therapy, a whole range of treatments, even pain interventions. So injections and those types of treatments. There are things that we can do.
How does chronic pain affect the lives of people who live with it?
Imagine, Marcy, if you've ever had a headache, a toothache, an injury, and then imagine that persists. You're living with that day in and day out. You're not sleeping. You're becoming irritable. You're maybe having to pull back from all the things that you enjoy, going to the gym, going to your dance class, going out for coffee with a friend, even things like picking up your young child or caring for a loved one. All of these things become increasingly difficult. We know that sometimes people turn to alcohol or other substances to find relief. We know that people can become depressed and anxious when they're living with pain day in and day out. So this can become a spiral where it's affecting people's relationships, it's affecting their work, their ability to go to school, and just participate really in their own lives. So that's something we want to stop. We want to intervene early and get them the help that they need.
Just last, why do you think it continues to be, ignored or not acted upon? Obviously, this task force we're talking about, and the report came out 4 years ago, and here we are talking today about better awareness among, doctors and health professionals being a problem.
Yeah, that report came out at really the height of COVID. So we know that at that time it was very hard to get attention. It was very hard to move things forward in the healthcare system, but things are improving. So there are now 9 provinces moving forward on provincial pain strategies. There is actually a lot of progress happening in Manitoba with an expanded pain program in your province and a big investment from your provincial government in expanding pain care. So there's a lot that's being done. There's new courses to train health professionals. There are more peer support and those types of groups showing up across the province. So lots of progress, but still more to be done.
Thank you very much for being with us, Maria.
Grateful to have the time to shine light on this important issue.
Maria Hudspeth with us this morning, Executive Director of Pain BC and Pain Canada and co-chair of the Canadian Pain task force. Appreciative of that Manitoba update as well. We are getting into news time. I just want to mention, if you have a problem on the roadways this morning, it will snow today. So not sure what it's like out there for you this morning. It could be kind of slick. 788-3093 is the commuter line. And speaking of commuting, Air Transat, big in the news today, saying it's starting to cancel flights today after pilots issued a strike notice. We will hear more in business news right after CBC Winnipeg News.
This is CBC News. Good morning, I'm Josh Crabb. At 6:30, it's mostly cloudy and minus 14 in downtown Winnipeg, cloudy and minus 13 in Dauphin, light snow and minus 24 in Churchill. A man from Mexico says a hotel chain took advantage of him. Manitoba ordered Western Star to pay Victor Padilla-Ruiz nearly $85,000 in owed wages. A ruling says he worked about 12 hours every day for nearly a year in Melita. Padilla-Ruiz says he came to Canada to work illegally, believing he would get a work permit.
I asked too many times, when will I apply for my work permit? I tell them, okay, I have to go. It's not good stay in Canada, work without work permit. And they told me, no worries.
Employment standards rulings show the hotel was also ordered to pay owed wages to two other workers. Western Star has appealed all the rulings the hotel's owners denied they illegally hired foreign workers. Two elevators are broken in an Osborne Village high-rise in the aftermath of a power outage last Thursday morning, which Manitoba Hydro says was caused by a squirrel. Now, about 180 residents at the 55-plus building on Nassau Street have to take the stairs, but Daniel Anselin says some of his neighbors use wheelchairs or live with mobility issues.
It's not easy to do, but I can do it, but there's a lot of people here that just can't, and they're stuck in their places. They've got people outside that have come out from the company that are helping out, bringing in groceries and stuff. So that's good. That helps.
January Malillo is with Murdoch Management. She says the elevators, which were installed in 2012, stopped working during the power outage and wouldn't run after the electricity was restored. Technicians told her some of the equipment was damaged and had to be sent out of province for repairs.
We're certainly aware that it's not ideal with not having the two elevators, but we also know that some people, are able to remain in their suite for a couple of days, and that's not really going to be a dire situation for them, as long as we can get them what they need.
Malillo says that includes food and medication. She says a few residents have chosen to temporarily move out and stay with family or friends. The pilots at Air Transat have issued a strike notice. It means they could be off the job as of Wednesday, possibly upending flight plans for thousands of travelers ahead of the holiday season. John Northcott has the latest.
What the airline is saying, their priority right now is people who are at destinations. And with the strike action due to take place early Wednesday morning, and with the airline shutting down in anticipation of that, they say they want to make sure they get people who are actually on the ground back home. These are 750 pilots we're talking about here. They say they had no choice registering that they are going to have this strike take place early Wednesday morning, simply because they say there were months of unproductive bargaining. The airline says it's a reckless decision, saying they want the same kind of wage settlement and conditions that Air Canada pilots fought for and got not that long ago. They say in a statement, quote, "It doesn't reflect the state of negotiations." John Northcott, CBC News, Toronto.
It's possible Air Transat will begin issuing flight cancellations as early as today. Air Transat, which is based in Montreal, flies mainly to destinations in Europe and the Caribbean. And finally, excitement is growing in Winnipeg following the announcement over the weekend the Winnipeg Jets will host an outdoor game next season. The 2026 Heritage Classic will be played on October 25th at Princess Auto Stadium. Jets fan Richard Martin was at the game last time it was played here in 2016 and says he's excited to go again.
I think it's a big deal. I think we get a bad rap for not being a place where people want to come and go to big events like this. And I think we've proven them wrong with the recent Grey Cup and the playoff push last year with Jets and stuff. So it's good for the city. Can't be bad.
Winnipeg has a 1-1 record at the event, losing to Edmonton in 2016 and beating Calgary in 2019. This will be the third time the Jets take part in the Heritage Classic. And that is the CBC News from Winnipeg. Your next local news is at 7:30.
Let's just focus on that and not how the season's been going so far.
Yeah, it's been a rough go as of late
Rough
for the Jets.
start, yes.
A good
to
start,
say
but
the least.
then things kind of tailed off.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, but,
all right, thanks, Josh. We'll have analysis of that, whether we like it or not, coming up after 7 when we actually have sports on the air here. 6:35 a.m., you're with Information Radio, your morning show on CBC. It is the season for Abby to give our regional forecast, except I also want to say it's a season for the shirts. All right, describe to the radio listeners what's on this fabulous shirt today.
I just decided to go back to the days of the T-Rex and wonder if they celebrated Christmas back then. That's just a summary of the shirt.
Dinosaurs and Santa hats.
In Santa hats. T-Rexes celebrating Santas.
Is this like a white button-up shirt and then all the colorful stuff on it with the dinos?
Yes, just colorful green and red and the white background.
Is that a hot chocolate on there too?
I think there's hot chocolate somewhere there.
That looks good.
On the mistletoe.
You're going to need it today. Lots of hot beverages.
Yep, I'm tracking snow to the south and those bitter colds still in the northern part of the province with wind chills in the valleys of minus 42 as you travel further north towards Churchill. Also, I need to highlight this special weather statement I'm tracking for the Westman and the Parkland region. We're seeing this large winter storm coming your way. This is going to bring heavy snow, strong winds, and along with freezing rain. This should start overnight into Wednesday. So be prepared for difficult commutes if you're in the Brandon and Dauphin region. But Winnipeg right now, we're looking at minus 14, expecting snow sometime this afternoon. We're only warm to about minus 11 later. Well, across the southern region, we're looking at minus 13 around Melita. We're looking at 14 in Brandon, Port Perry minus 15, Steinbach minus 14, Sprague minus 18. While up north, we're seeing minus 30 around Tuduli Lake, minus 23 in Churchill, and minus 22 in Thompson and Lynn Lake towards Gillen. But Winnipeg right now, we're just tracking some light snow coming our way. We're at minus 14 and it's cloudy outside.
All right, thanks, Abby.
Thank you.
Corey, what's up in the commute?
Got a call from Jeff with a G. Eastbound Marion, just before Dufresne. He says you lose your curb lane. Looks like construction. So keep left to get around that. That might throw some folks off this morning. That's eastbound Marion, just before Dufresne. You lose your curb lane. Other than that, though, of course, with the snow, I'm wondering if things are getting slick throughout the southern part of the province in particular. If it is, I'd love to get a call from you. Let me know what you're seeing out there on the highways. Otherwise, things are looking fairly clear so far. You can give me a call, though, on the CBC commuter line if it's not. 204-788-3093.
Thanks, Corey.
Thank you.
All right, we're just hearing about Air Transat in our local news. Let's get more details from Chrisley Ramlichan. She's here now with her actual business report. Good morning.
Hey, good morning, Marcy.
So what's going on with this?
Yeah, so like you've been hearing, the airline says it is going to gradually shut down operations over the next couple of days with a complete suspension of flights by tomorrow. So the airline also plans to start repatriating passengers to prevent them from being stranded abroad if a strike takes place. And the company says the goal here is to bring back everyone to their point of origin. But, the Montreal-based airline is calling the strike notice premature. Air Transat says there has been progress in contract negotiations. However, the Airline Pilots Association says the airline left it no choice but to issue the strike mandate after months of unproductive bargaining. Now, both the union and the airline say they may come to an agreement before a strike even happens, though, which could, begin as early Wednesday morning. But the airline says the strike notice does require it to proceed with the gradual suspension of operations to prevent any sudden unplanned interruption. So the airline says if customers think they're going to be affected, they can rebook free of charge. So they'll basically get a travel voucher to fly on another day. And if you do have a ticket with Air Transat, you probably want to check their website out. They have a lot of answers under their frequently asked questions section. So they have a bunch of drop-down menus for, whatever specific issue you're looking into.
I'm sure people are already on there. Next, social media platform X is facing a pretty big fine. What are the details?
Yeah, that's right. So Elon Musk's company has been fined 120 million euros by European Union tech regulators for breaching their online content rules. And it is the first sanction under this landmark legislation. So the violations include lack of transparency around advertising and failure to provide researchers access to public data. Regulators also found issue with that infamous blue checkmark that we know about, or or verified status. So they say the company does not meaningfully verify who is behind accounts, and that makes it difficult for users to judge the authenticity of them. Now, Europe's crackdown on big tech to ensure smaller rivals can compete and consumers have more choice has been criticized by the Trump administration, which says it singles out American companies and even censors Americans. But the European Commission says its laws do not target any nationality and that it is just defending its digital and democratic standards, which usually serve as the benchmark for the rest of the world. So the sanction follows a 2-year-long investigation under the Digital Services Act over there, which requires online platforms to do more to tackle illegal and harmful content, which we know there's a lot of that kind of stuff out there on the internet. And so now X has between 60 to 90 working days to come up with measures to comply.
And why could phones be pricier next year, Crystalie?
So this is because of the AI boom. It seems like artificial intelligence touching so many different places in the business world. So, fancy cameras, giant screens, and massive storage usually make smartphones more expensive. But next year, a routine component might be boosting prices. Memory chips. So memory prices are rising for consumer products because major manufacturers are instead ramping up production for AI data centers. So memory chip manufacturers are shifting their focus to data centers, which use a different type of memory than computers and smartphones. So they can't just make all one kind of memory. And as a result, there are fewer resources for consumer products. And it's not just phones. Any device that uses memory, from tablets to smartwatches, could get more expensive. But the pendulum is expected to swing back in the other direction late next year as supply chains adjust. So maybe if you wait, a little bit later, you could see a better price. So that, adjustment could potentially bring prices back down or at least cap increases.
All right, we'll leave it there this morning. Thank you.
Thanks, Marcy.
Crystalie joins us every morning with business news here on CBC. Crystalie Ramlakan. It's 6:42. It's mostly cloudy in Winnipeg. It's minus 14 in our city, as well over in Brandon, and it's snowing up in Thompson, minus 22. There's snow on the way for, all of us. Light flurries in Thompson, periods of snow 5 centimeters in Winnipeg, and then 2 to 4 in Brandon, with a weather statement starting kind of into late tonight into tomorrow, Tuesday to Wednesday especially. A messy mix, freezing rain, heavy snow up to 20 centimeters, and that's going to be pretty much Westman and Parkland region. So we'll keep an eye on that system as it makes its way through the week here, or I should say through the early part of the week. Well, after 3 years of negotiations, 62 Indigenous cultural items held by the Vatican for a century are one step closer to returning home. Representatives from the Assembly of First Nations, Inuit, Tapiri, Kenatami, and Métis National Council welcomed the artifacts' arrival over the weekend on Saturday in Montreal. The welcoming included an opening prayer by Kitigat Zibi Elder, Claudette Commanda, as well as Inuit throat singing and a performance of the Red River Jig. The Canadian Museum of History is now going to unbox and examine the items and work in partnership with communities to repatriate them, get them back where they belong. Here's what Assembly of First Nations National Chief Cindy Woodhouse-Neepanak had to say about the process.
This is an important and emotional moment for many First Nations across this country. And I hope it will also be an important moment for all Canadians to consider the history and the future of this country. It's so important that we begin to work together. I think we've come a long way, and we have a long way to go. And reconciliation isn't one stop here. Reconciliation is every single day doing this work. I want to conclude today with a message thanks to His Holiness Pope Leo and the late Pope Francis. Like I said, when I'd met the late Pope, and it was such a time, and it was very emotional and very touching, but I'm so glad that he did the right thing and he didn't kick it down the road to another pope, that he's seen the significance of trying to right the wrongs of the past. As we were waiting this morning, one of the youth, of course, sent a video of the relatives being carefully loaded onto the plane, and it made me wonder, why was this so hard? To watch the boxes loaded onto the plane, it was so easy, so why not more? Why can't we bring more home? Thousands of our relatives are being held around the world. So I asked the Pope, I asked others around the world to help us to bring them home. Let's not wait, another 100 years. 2 years ago today on this date, I had the honor of being elected as National Chief of the Assembly of First Nations. We promised to honor the work. I commend the leadership, the First Nations in Assembly, who in 2017 instructed that the Assembly of First Nations work towards repatriating our artifacts around the world. And this is the beginning of that work. But we'd promised to work on that and to keep up the pressure to bring our relatives back home. So today is another important step, but it's far from the end. It's only the beginning.
Pretty special moments over the weekend as repatriation, step one, begins. After 3 years of negotiations, as mentioned, items, 62 of them, Indigenous cultural items held by the Vatican for nearly a century, are one step closer to returning home, with the first shipment coming to Montreal. We were listening to the Assembly of First Nations National Chief, Cindy Woodhouse Nipanak, speaking Saturday in Montreal. It is 6:46 a.m. on 89.3 FM, 990 a.m. on that app and YouTube. If you were with us Friday, you knew that it was our special day at CBC Manitoba. We do this once a year to make the season kind. And we can't do it without you, because it's all about how generous you're able to be and leaning into our lives and our neighbors' lives. And we lean into your generosity here in the province, because Make the Season Kind is all about supporting Harvest Manitoba and its member agencies with the food banks and meal programs and snack programs, school programs. We're going to hear from the head of Harvest in a few moments live here about how much was raised on Friday and where that money is going to be used in our community and in our province. But a big part of the day is also live music. So we thank the musicians that were able to be with us. We had a number of Manitoba artists in our studio here at CBC Manitoba. And we had Boy Golden, which was so special on Up to Speed, performing live. Really special because the tune that he performed, one of them, has just made number 20 on CBC Music's top 100 songs of the whole year, 2025. So we pulled that live performance in case you missed it Friday afternoon. This is Boy Golden and Suffer.
All right. Good goddamn, what a masterpiece, laid out on the street in front of me. Good goddamn, another tragedy, laid out on the street in front of me. Prices go up and they don't come down. Costs $40 just to hang around. I know people sleeping on the ground. Prices go up and they don't come down. I wanna know where my money went. I want a new president. Wanna believe that God is benevolent. I wanna know where my money went. Yeah, we all suffer under the cover of the night. Under the cover of the night, we all suffer. Yeah. Painkillers and nicotine, white bread and trashy TV. You can drink yourself half asleep, just don't do it in front of me. Bad actors in politics, I can't take too much more of this. I'm looking for a more permanent fix, like a deep dark hole in a ditch. We sit in our living rooms and become what we consume. There's nothing old and nothing new, just whatever's in front of you. Yeah, we all suffer under the cover of the night. Under the cover of the night, We all suffer. Yeah. We all suffer. Fighting our ordinary fight. Fighting our ordinary fight. We all suffer. Oh, we all suffer. Yeah.
A little bit of Boy Golden in case you missed the live performances on Friday all day long. Big thanks to the musicians who joined us Friday. Corey, maybe we should get a list up there so after I'm done talking to Vince, I can thank everyone in person. There was musicians here all day for the morning show, for Radio Noon as well, on Up to Speed. Boy Golden doing live on Up to Speed, his performance with Suffer. Really cool. We want to get an update, though, on how you did in terms of your generosity. Friday was CBC Manitoba's annual Charity Make the Season Kind event. Huge success. Music, stories, and of course, reaching out to see if you can support Harvest. Every year, CBC teams, in fact, all across Canada come together to raise money for food banks in their communities. So we had our full programming day dedicated to the roughly 60,000 people who rely on Harvest Manitoba to put food on the table in our province where we live every month. And of course, that supports the member agencies, 400 agencies all across the province. So once again, you ended up giving a record amount of money. Vince Barletta is president and CEO of Harvest Manitoba. He's back in live this morning for the final total and tally. Hi, Vince.
Hey, good morning, Marcy.
So what's the news? Where did everyone land? Where did we land?
Well, you know, with the generosity of Manitobans, Marcy, including the donations that came in throughout the weekend, we have, I'm pleased to say, a brand new record total for Make the Season Kind with the matching funds, $516,940. That's about $14,000 more than we did last year, Marcy, a new record. And thank you and everybody here at CBC Manitoba. What a day, what a weekend.
Yeah, you know what? Thanks to the listeners and thanks to Manitobans. I have to say, other stations sometimes will set a goal, and we'll talk about trying to reach it. Here at CBC, we always just say whatever you can give, and we leave it at that. And I didn't think that this year, given the economic realities in this country, and, you never want to set a target. So the fact that people were able to take this to another record level to help fellow Manitobans is really something.
Well, I think it speaks to the generosity that we have here in Manitoba. And, it takes a province to feed a province. No one does that better than we do in Manitoba. And it was great to be getting those calls in all day, donors that were matching funds, some donors, longtime donors, first-time donors, some great challenges to retired teachers and Rotarians, and I know they were coming through. So again, it was a fabulous day and a great day of programming in the afternoon with Faith as well, and the whole activation. So a big thanks to everybody here and all Manitobans.
And the matching ended up being matched to $250,000 by the end of the day. So just incredible that some of those families named, some of them are anonymous. Just really, really wonderful.
Yeah, well, that's right. We had some donors that prefer to be anonymous, and we had, as we did last year, $100,000 matched by Dave and Elena Forgan, a former Winnipeg family, and they're still in the food business and big supporters of Harvest, and we thank them for matching the funds in the afternoon. And, gifts, large and small, they all add up, and when we do that, we can do great things in Manitoba.
I was really touched, too, when we opened that first envelope. Came Thursday before the day even began. Someone came down to CBC here and dropped it off and just said, kickstart the day for Manitoba. And I just thought it was really special to, like you said, all donations big and small, really lovely. So where does the money go and how far does $1 go?
Well, so again, every dollar was matched, but the reality is every dollar that we raise that we're able to spend on food allows us to leverage another $10 worth of food through all of our purchasing arrangements, the food donations we're able to pick up, our partnerships with the agri-food industry. So really $1 turns into 10 at Harvest Manitoba, and that's a big part of the magic that lets us do the work that we do all across the province.
How are you going to spend it this year, Vince? Where are the biggest needs?
Well, the biggest needs, continue to be on food purchasing. Certainly, we spend millions in recent years, each year, purchasing food to supplement what goes in the kits. And then on top of that, of course, we got staff that like to get paid. We got trucks that need fuel. We have our building, which is always in need of repair, and soon will be in need of some future expansion as well. So we have no shortage of needs at Harvest, including supporting our workforce training program, our Meals to Go school nutrition program, education, and the work that we do in research, like our Harvest Voices report that we talked about last week. So again, it all goes toward supporting all of those causes, and we can't do it without the support of Manitobans.
I want to ask you something as we're reaching the end of the year here. We started the year hearing about tariffs, like really that was the beginning of the year. And I remember at that time, you guys at Harvest were saying that tariffs could affect, I believe it was it baby formula? Like, how are you affected by tariffs? I'm just mindful we've had a whole year of this up and down.
Well, it up and down, I think, is the operative way to put it, Marcy. And, a lot of tariffs put on, tariffs taken off, and a lot of ups and downs. So we were concerned really at the outset about what it was actually going to do to some of the purchases of what we buy. As it turned out, products like baby formula, which we do buy and does come from the U.S., wasn't subject to tariff.
Okay,
which
good.
is a good thing. And when you think about it, why would you do that to families at the end of the day? So that's a good thing. So I think in terms of the purchasing, we missed the biggest impacts of the tariffs. Ultimately, but we're not through the woods yet, and we'll see what comes of it.
And obviously, all of us, everyone affected by grocery prices and the economy. What would you like to say to donors who were able to help out this year? Just before you go this morning.
Well, I just say a big thank you, and 60,000 Manitobans go into a food bank in a typical month, and as we talked about, broadly based seniors, families, people with kids, all over the province, Winnipeg, the suburbs, rural, the north, and I just have to say, if you and your family are doing all right, and you were able to make that gift, we thank you so much, and we can't do it without you. Thank you, Manitoba.
Thank you, Vince, for being in this morning with the update.
Thank you, Marcy.
Yeah, quite good news there, right? Excellent news. A record broken again, incredible. $516,940 with matching funds raised for Harvest Manitoba. So let's thank you, Corey. Corey popped up the names of the musicians here so I can thank everyone properly. Performing on our show, Winnipeg Philharmonic Choir members were here early. Jocelyn Gould, Juno Award winner, as well as Carl Kohut accompanying Jocelyn. Arnold J was in the house, super fun in the morning. On noon, Bobby Dove performing, beautiful. I heard a lot of that when I was finished the show. I was listening to noon. Up to Speed, Boy Golden, Jade Turner, and Dominic Adam, gorgeous performances as well. Remember, there was something extra this year. If you were at Zoo Lights and you dropped by the truck, you had Chef Mandel Hitzer of Deer and Allman, who was running that food truck at Zoo Lights, and that brought in additional funds for Harvest. So it was a nice afternoon if you're able to be out there. So thanks to everybody who made this possible. Top of the list is you donating, and then also to all the people here at CBC who worked so hard to make that happen through the day Friday. Another one in the books. It's 3 minutes to 7. Let's go to Josh Crabb. He's here with headlines.
Good morning. 2 elevators are broken in an Osborne Village high-rise in the aftermath of a power outage last Thursday morning, which Manitoba Hydro says was caused by a squirrel. Now, some of the 180 residents at the 55-plus building can't leave their suites. Foreign workers are accusing a hotel chain in Manitoba and Saskatchewan with a history of labor violations of taking advantage of them, including a man from Mexico who says he worked long hours for nearly a year without getting the proper pay. And the arena in St. Pierre-Jolie reopened to skaters on Saturday. In late October, the community south of Winnipeg announced it would be doing repairs and it wouldn't open until January, but they were able to get it back open sooner than expected. Your next local CBC News is at 7:30.
Thanks, Josh.
You're welcome.
In the next hour of the show, we're going to visit a tree lot where some Winnipeg high school students are volunteering for the holidays. It's a long-standing tradition from our community reporter. She's been visiting all around town. Also, Manitoba's on the cusp of establishing its second dark sky preserve. What is that? We'll find out. We're also going to meet one of the astronomers and a filmmaker who's capturing the quest in a new film. And to serious matters, just before 8, Addictions Minister Bernadette Smith will be live in studio with us talking about the newly proposed supervised consumption site at 366 Henry. Now, this site won't supply drugs, but it will allow people to inject with support staff on hand. There's at least one nearby business that has concerns about the location. There are still some open house meetings to talk about this. So we're going to discuss it with Minister Smith coming up in the next hour of Information Radio. Right now in the city of Winnipeg, it is minus 14. It's mostly cloudy. We're expecting 2 to 4 centimeters of snow, periods of it beginning near noon. So bring the mitts today. Our high is minus 11. Brandon's cloudy, minus 14. Bracing for a snowy system Tuesday to Wednesday. And in Thompson, light snow falling already, and it's minus 22. And that's how we're starting the week, Manitoba. So get into it. And don't forget your parka and your toque. And stay right here. We have more show coming up. Right now, though, it's time for World Report at 7. It's 1 minute to.
On The Current.
When my Christmas cash starts running out, I don't panic because I've got clout. Master Joe.
Buy now, pay later. It is an offer showing up on nearly everything you buy online, even your takeout dinner. But experts warn it's a form of debt that can easily lead to overspending without realizing the consequences. It's coming up on The Current.
The Current with Matt Galloway. This morning at 8:37, 9:07 in Newfoundland. And on the CBC Listen app.
This is World Report. Good morning, I'm Dave Seglins. A CBC investigation has found Ontario jails are heading toward a record year for overcrowding and lockdowns. All that while politicians debate bail reforms that could keep more prisoners behind bars. CBC obtained data from the Ontario government using Freedom of Information requests. One of the most surprising trends is the higher number of women in the province's jails. Julie Ireton reports.
This would be the female dorms.
This woman spent months inside the Ottawa jail awaiting her trial. She was an addict, charged and later convicted of drug possession. CBC is not naming her for her protection.
The way that you're treated as an inmate, you're not actually human in there.
In the past 6 years, 38% more women have been sent to jail in Ontario. The vast majority are being held pre-trial. Nicole Myers is a criminology professor at Queen's University.
We're keeping a lot of people in custody that do not need to be there. Women tend to commit less violent offenses in the first place.
CBC's data analysis found since 2022, 3,000 more people have been incarcerated in Ontario jails. It's led to overcrowding and frequent lockdowns. Meanwhile, the Prime Minister and other politicians are calling for new bail laws.
These changes will keep violent, repeat offenders of these crimes off our streets and out of our communities.
Some judges have ruled human rights violations inside the jails are serious enough to stay cases, allowing the accused to walk free. Leo Russomano is an Ottawa defense lawyer.
If you're one of these tough on crime people that cares about the proper administration of punishment, then you should be very concerned that there's people getting discounts on sentences because of inadequate conditions.
Both the Ontario Ombudsman and the union representing correctional officers say the jail system is already in crisis. Ontario's Solicitor General declined CBC's interview request. Julie Ireton, CBC News, Ottawa.
Montreal-based Air Transat is poised to begin suspending flights today. The airline's pilots union has issued a 72-hour strike notice, putting pilots in a position to walk off the job on Wednesday and potentially leave thousands of holiday travelers stranded. World Report co-host John Northcott is watching this story. John, a lot of people are planning to fly Air Transat over the holidays. What do they need to know this morning?
David, depends on when they are planning to take that flight. Up until December the 12th, they are asked to check within 48 hours of their flight, in which case then there would be a number of options. If their flight is canceled, then they would be refunded. On the other hand, after that time, essentially too far in the future, you'd be subject to the usual terms and conditions if you wanted to cancel or change your flight. So you can see people making decisions around being sure. We're heading into the holidays, we're heading into a busy travel season, and they may want some surety. Again, if it's after that December 12th date, you are just as you are now, the usual terms and conditions if you wanted to cancel or change that flight. What the airline is saying that their priority right now is people who are at destinations. And with the strike action due to take place early Wednesday morning, and with the airline shutting down in anticipation of that, they say they want to make sure they get people who are actually on the ground someplace else back home.
Air Transat and its pilots union have been in some pretty intense negotiations. What are the two sides saying?
Yeah, recently intense, but also they've been at this since last winter, effectively. The airline saying they want the same kind of wage settlement and conditions that Air Canada pilots fought for and got not that long ago. These are 750 pilots we're talking about here. They say they had no choice, registering that they are going to then have this strike take place early Wednesday morning, simply because they say there were months of unproductive bargaining. The airline says it's a reckless decision. They say in a statement, quote, "It doesn't reflect the state of negotiations."
John Northcott with us in studio. Thank you.
Thanks, Dave.
Ukraine's president is about to sit down with the leaders of Germany, France, and the UK today in London. Volodymyr Zelensky is trying to put together a response to an amended U.S. peace proposal. Today's meeting follows talks over the weekend between U.S. and Ukrainian negotiators. The CBC's Crystal Gomansing has the latest from London.
Basically, Russia is going to need to get something to stop.
Gordon Sunderland, the former U.S. ambassador to the European Union, doesn't think that should happen, but says the Russian president can't lose the war he started in Ukraine. It's Ukraine that's under pressure as the U.S. looks to strike a deal with Russia to end the war. U.S. President Donald Trump last night again criticized Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky.
I have to say that I'm a little bit disappointed that President Zelensky hasn't yet read the proposal. That was as of a few hours ago.
Ukrainians have said they won't concede territory or have Russia impose conditions on its future. If Ukraine walks away or President Trump gets frustrated and ends his administration's support, such as military intelligence sharing, how will Europe respond? In his Sunday night address, Zelensky says they continue to work. During these recent peace talks, he's been flying across Europe and today will again meet with key allies, this time in London. Sunderland acknowledges Russia won't stop and continental security is at stake, as European leaders have expressed.
He will try again unless Europe finally steps up.
Since getting back into office, President Trump and his administration have pushed Europe and NATO to spend more on defense and not expect the U.S. to be the world's defenders. Crystal Gomansing, CBC News, London.
Thailand and Cambodia are accusing each other of violating their U.S.-brokered ceasefire. Thailand launched airstrikes along their disputed border. It says it was in response to Cambodia mobilizing heavy weaponry. At least one Thai soldier has been killed. 8 others have been wounded. Freelance reporter Patrick Falk has more.
Panic in Cambodia's Preah Vihear province after Thailand launched attacks near their shared border today. Video clips verified by Reuters showed a huge plume of smoke rising above the Cambodian side. The escalation comes after both countries reported a brief skirmish on Sunday. Thai army spokesperson Winthai Suvari says airstrikes were necessary to suppress attacks by Cambodian forces. All missions were executed with caution and only targeted military infrastructure, he said. Meanwhile, Cambodia accused Thai forces of initiating the violence and said they were engaged in numerous provocative actions for several days. A simmering border dispute between the neighboring countries erupted into a 5-day conflict in July before a ceasefire brokered by Malaysian Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim and US President Donald Trump. Malaysia has warned the renewed fighting risks unraveling work that's gone into stabilizing the situation. Patrick Falk for CBC News, Singapore.
Today marks 1 year since rebel forces in Syria toppled the brutal and long-ruling government of Bashar al-Assad. After more than 13 years of war, the country is still affected by sectarian violence, but is more stable. Over the past year, hundreds of thousands of Syrians who fled the war have returned home. But as Briar Stewart reports, many more are waiting for the country to rebuild.
Hussein al-Sheikh Mohammed stands with his identity cards in hand, getting ready to cross a border he first went over 13 years ago as a teenager. He was one of more than 3 million Syrians who fled the civil war and settled in Turkey. Now he, along with his wife and their daughter, are heading back. We have a lot of excitement, he says. We want our country to rise up. According to Turkish officials, more than 500,000 Syrians living in Turkey made the same journey in the past year. Merva Doğru is a senior specialist in migration coordination at the Turkish Red Crescent.
The biggest challenge is legal procedures and missing documents.
She says children cannot go to Syria without their parents or legal guardians. Some are having to go to court to get the proper paperwork. She says sometimes families come into information centers asking for guidance.
They come and ask, if I return to Syria, how can I enroll my children to education, or how can I access to health services?
The World Bank estimates it will cost more than $200 billion US to rebuild Syria. Mohammed's hometown, Aleppo, is among the cities most in need of reconstruction. The neighborhood we live in is a bit ruined, he says, but he hopes they will be able to rebuild their homes and their lives. Briar Stewart, CBC News at the Ottopanar border crossing in Turkey.
That is the latest national and international news from World Report. For news anytime, go to cbcnews.ca. I'm Dave Seglins.
Good morning, everyone. How you doing out there? Did you have a good weekend? You bundled up likely. Well, get ready because we have a snowy week ahead. I'm Marcy Marcusa. This is Information Radio. Thanks for joining us. You're on CBC Manitoba, 89.3 FM, 990 AM on the app and YouTube on your morning show. This hour on the program, Addictions Minister Bernadette Smith is going to be in studio talking to us about the newly proposed supervised consumption site at 366 Henry. Now, this site won't supply drugs, but it will allow people to inject drugs with support staff on hand. We'll hear more about it. Also, from one nearby business we'll hear from. They have some concerns about this. Plus, it's not even been a week since the new detox center opened, so we'll try to slide in a bit of an update about that as well. Also this hour on the show, Manitoba's on the cusp of establishing something very cool and very dark. Its second dark sky preserve. We're going to meet an astronomer and filmmaker who capture the quest in a new film. Right now, let's find out about headlines in the news with Josh Crabb.
Good morning. A man from Mexico says he toiled long hours 7 days a week for nearly a year, working at a hotel in southwest Manitoba without getting the proper pay. 2 broken elevators in an Osborne Village high-rise are causing big problems for the 55-plus building's 180 residents. The elevator stopped working in the aftermath of a power outage Manitoba Hydro says was caused by a squirrel. And the arena in St. Pierre, Jolie reopened sooner than expected on Saturday after an unforeseen closure. Your next local CBC News is at 7:30.
All right, thanks, Josh.
You're welcome.
Let's get into the forecast. Abby.
Yeah, winter storm building across the southern part of the province. We're looking at periods of snow and some dangerous wind chills as you travel further north of the province. For us here in Winnipeg, we are sitting at minus 14 at this time. It's cloudy outside. The temperature is just going to hold pretty steady before we reach that high of minus 11 later. Then we'll see some snow beginning around the noon period. We're looking at 2 to 4 centimeters of snow expected once the system comes through. But for this morning, the wind chill actually feels like minus 23 outside. And in the other regions in the southern areas, we're looking at temperatures around minus 13s to minus 13s to minus 15s at this time. But just one more time, that heads up, we have that special weather statement in effect for the Westman and Parkland region. We're tracking this large winter storm that will bring heavy snow, strong winds and freezing rain starting sometime overnight into tomorrow morning. So be prepared for that. Up north, we're seeing wind chills close to minus 40 in Churchill at this time.
All right, thanks, Abby.
Thank you.
Corey Funk is here to update our commute this Monday. Hey.
Hey, yeah, eastbound Marion got a call just before Dufresne. You lose your curb lane to some construction, says Jeff with a G. So keep left to get around that. That might throw things off a little bit on eastbound Marion this morning, slow things down. But other than that, if you do see something, if you're walking, biking, driving, you see something on the highways you want to update us on, if that snow is impacting your commute, you can give me a call, 204-788-3093.
Well, people might have seen some lineups or cars or busyness maybe more than usual on the weekend around the Manitoba Legislative Building this weekend.
Yes, and I was actually in that lineup with my dad and a very chilly toddler.
It was the open house.
It was the open house. That's right. So it was the open house at the legislature this week. I went with my kiddo, which he calls the Golden Boys house.
Oh,
yes,
that's what he calls the
He calls
the Golden Boys house?
Exactly. He can't quite say legislature. There's a lot of the different hard phonemes in there, so we just call it the Golden Boys house.
Families of all ages. And
it was
all kinds
busy
of
in there. Lots of things going on. Every minister's office was wide open, and you can go in. There's treats in every one, so we just kind of went to place getting cookies, and and it was a good chance to kind of give like a civics 101 for a 3-year-old. So I was trying to explain because Wab Canoe came, he did a little address, kind of introduced like the choir that was singing. I'm like, that's Wab Canoe. He's like because like premier doesn't make any sense. I mean, he's like the big boss of Manitoba. And then the rest of the day, he's like, is that Boss Canoe? Is that Boss Canoe? He called him Boss Canoe all day. So it was a somewhat successful civics lesson, but we're building, we're working on it.
Cute. If you were one of the people there, maybe you'll catch some photos of yourself. You can read the stories online. I know we had a CBC crew covering it at cbc.ca/Manitoba. Well, we've got a late traffic tip that just came in actually while we were chatting. So McPhillips and Maple Glen, traffic signals there are flashing red in all directions. So treat that as an always stop and use some caution passing through. And as Corey mentioned, you can update us anytime at 788-3093. Well, next, let's go to something else that you might have been doing this weekend. Did you go out and get a tree, perhaps, for Christmas? I saw a lot of the trees on the top of the people's cars and vehicles as they were driving around. For the past 46 years, the Winnipeg Y Service Club has been giving back every holiday season. The group sells trees with the funds going to help those in need. Now, that group includes students at the high school next door on Kimberley Avenue. So players from Miles MacDonnell Collegiate's football team volunteer every year at the tree lot. They say it's something they look forward to. CBC Manitoba's community reporter Shanley Vidal has a seasonal story. She was at the tree lot to find out more about the partnership.
This one here's probably got a little more weight to it. It's a little bit bigger base. Yep. No, that's a good one. That's a nice one there. Absolutely. Yeah.
My name is Brad McKay. I've been with the Winnipeg Y Service Club for 31 years. Well, this school is in my community. My kids went here. I'd always wanted to teach here. And so I spent 4 years teaching here. And Dan Washnick, the coach, he and I were in the same department, English department. And in 2011, he was talking about fundraising for the football team. And I said, hey, how about coming and selling Christmas trees for a weekend? I've had former students of mine from other schools that I've taught in come out here, and they just have a ball. They love the fire barrel. They love the trees. It's like Christmas arrives for them, as it does the day that our trees arrive for us. Christmas arrives. So it's that time of year.
Right now, there's multiple shifts where it's out of 3 people, 4 people are going. Everybody wants to do tree sales. It's so fun. I love making people smile while I volunteer and help them out with the trees. I like knowing that I'm helping out the football program doing this too. So let's say there's someone that's on the poor side. Football is more of an expensive sport. They can't afford everything and they want to play football. I think if you want to play football, you should be able to play football. And doing this could help people get discounts when they can't afford everything.
There's the idea that we want them to be leaders in the community, and leadership is sacrifice. The idea of giving back time, giving back effort, giving back energy. And this kind of generosity, have an opportunity to give back to the community, is such a valuable life skill that just translates on the field, which is kind of my primary focus for a couple months a year, but more importantly in their long-term lives, which is my focus every other month year as they move on and out of our program and into the community.
We give money for kids to rent musical instruments. We bought running shoes for kids who can't afford them for phys ed classes. We give a $500 scholarship to 4 different high schools in the community. We have bought insulin pumps. When I give a check to a kid and you see that smile, that's enough. That's what binds you to what we do. So that's why I'm still here.
Lovely little seasonal story. Hey, you can hear the emotion in his voice. You can find the holiday tree lot next to Miles MacDonnell Collegiate on Kimberley Avenue. Shout out to the Buckeyes. We also heard the football coach there, Dan Washnick, grade 11 student Bryce Bruce, and Winnipeg Y Service Club volunteer there, Bruce McKay. The clubs use the funds, as you were hearing there, in many ways. One of them is to remodel bathrooms and renovate the local YMYWCA. Thanks to CBC Manitoba community reporter Shanley Vidal and videographer Travis Golby for the story this morning. And I just want to make one more mention while it is the season. I know that I'm behind this mic, and so I have, there's a lot of people that are listening. I just want to share like a really small story. When I was listening to him as a teacher talk about school and providing shoes for the kids, and you can hear him talking about, students that might not have, gym shoes and stuff. I heard from a very, very long time teacher in our community this month who was talking about, having never seen the need so high for coats as this year. Something about the student population change, something about maybe the change in our city. And actually, there's been a lot of different coat and clothing drives that I've been hearing just anecdotally around town that are in need this year and in a bigger way than they maybe have been in the past. So just wanted to say that out loud for what it's worth as we're all thinking about the season and obviously thinking about the season of giving.
Everybody knows a turkey and some mistletoe help to make the season bright. But singing along to Yuletide classics and new holiday favorites is what really makes the holly jolly. CBC Music unwraps the gift of holiday playlists to get you into the festive spirit. From pop to jazz, gospel, folk, blues, classical, country, and so many more. Now available on the CBC Listen app.
Love the seasonal music. -14 right now in Winnipeg. It's going to snow about 2 to 4 centimeters starting around noon for us here in the city of Winnipeg. We have sports coming up in a few minutes from now. But first, some more music. This is William Prince. William Prince recently made CBC Music's list of the top 100 songs of 2025. So this is number 52. This is William Prince with On Rolls the Wheel.
Back alive, 'cause my tires ain't paid for, all depends on the take home. Wire back the loot to make it right. The road is long, but my thoughts they run longer into the quiet of the night. And I wake up lonely, this place where no one knows me, drive to another the next day. Then a brand new chapter, born the day after, the last of the miles towards my grave. And I've been here before and I'll be here again. On rolls the wheel, on rolls the wheel. Through a town with my last name. His house and his body could use a woman's touch. Guys like us don't often change. And so I wake up lonely, this place where no one knows me, drive to another the next day. Then a brand new chapter, born the day after, the last of the miles towards my grave. And I've been here before and I'll be here again. On rolls the wheel, on rolls the wheel. I've been here before and I'll be here again. On rolls the wheel, on rolls the wheel. I've been here before and I'll be here again. On rolls the wheel, on rolls the wheel.
William Prince, On Rolls the Wheel. almost got in the way of that really cool, grainy lyric at the end of that tune. On Rolls the Wheel is number 52 on the top 100 Canadian songs of 2025 list. Other Manitoba artists on the list include Boy Golden, number 20, Leith Ross at number 50 with Grieving, and Jessa Sky with Grievin' at number 95. Different songs, similar name. So 4 artists on the list. If you want to check out the full list, by the way, cbcmusic.ca. I'm R.C. Marcusa. Thanks for joining us this morning. Abby Adeyemi and Corey Funk and Darren Marash behind the glass. Josh Crabb in our news center. He'll give us our next local news update at 7:30, so stay tuned for that. We've had a pretty decent weekend. Cold, though. Wow. It will be a little bit milder this week, but with that will come some snow. Quite a lot of it. I will mention the special weather statement for parts of southern Manitoba. Brandon and surrounding areas like Dauphin and through the Westman Parkland region, there is a storm that is coming here. So Tuesday to Wednesday especially, a really messy mix. So freezing rain, we're talking heavy snow up to 20 centimeters. So if you're planning anything Tuesday to Wednesday, you might want to really either rethink that or check before you go out. Just be aware of it, certainly. In Winnipeg today, we're expecting 2 to 4 centimeters, but we don't have that special statement for our city. Well, let's get to what's happening in morning sports. Scott Reguer joins us live. Good morning.
Hey, Marcy.
So on the cusp of our Canadian winter, let's start with Summer McIntosh, that is, and her latest impressive feat in the pool.
Yeah, a feat that came at a meet in Texas, where the Canadian Star is now based, Marcy. McIntosh set a record at the U.S. Open in the 200-meter butterfly. This is an event with one of the sport's longest-standing world marks. China's Liu Zhizhe set it 16 years ago now, during the so-called supersuit era, when athletes were allowed to wear those drag-resistant polyurethane suits. Including her performance over the weekend, McIntosh now holds the next 4 fastest times ever in the 200 fly. None of them achieved, of course, in a supersuit. She says training under Bob Bowman, the legendary Michael Phelps former coach, has done nothing but help.
I've absolutely loved it here so far. I mean, it was a little bit wonky just being sick, but over the past few years, I've switched coaches and programs so many times that I kind of know how to adapt to a new program very quickly and how to nurture a new relationship with my coaches and teammates and things like that. So I think I've been able to adjust really quickly, and I feel like I fit in really well here, just being able to train with, the best that train to similar events that I do. It's been a dream so far.
That's Summer McIntosh, who will be one of the leading contenders tomorrow, Marcy, when the Northern Star Award is awarded for Canada's Athlete of the Year, of course. So we'll see how she does tomorrow.
Let's get to basketball. After a fine start to the season, the Raptors have fallen upon some hard times.
Yeah, they have. They won 9 in a row and now have lost 3 straight since then. Yesterday's defeat, Marcy, came against Boston, one of the few teams ahead of them in the Eastern standings. Leaky defense was the culprit. Toronto gave up 77 points before the break. That's the most in a half all season long. Toronto did fight back, to their credit, erasing a 23-point deficit when Jamal Shed scored a layup in the final quarter. And though the Celtics ultimately prevailed, Shed says there are positive takeaways.
We woke up a little bit in the second half. I think we got back to ourselves in the second half. First half was just not us. Like I have no explanation for it, no excuse for it, just not us. We have an identity. We found an identity. I think we just have to play to that identity every night, which is hard. But 48 minutes, it's the NBA. Everything's hard.
Shed talking about Toronto's stop the other guy's first mentality, which has them in the league's top 10 in terms of team defense, which will get another tough test tomorrow when another of the East's elite comes to town in the form of the New York Knicks.
And let's finish with baseball and maybe a surprising new member of the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, former Blue Jays infielder Jeff Kent, Marcy, was elected to the Hall yesterday by the Contemporary Era Committee. Among other attributes, Kent was a serious home run hitter. He managed more long balls as a second baseman than anyone in history. Kent did much of that damage playing for San Francisco in the late 90s and early 2000s. Another member of those Giants teams, Barry Bonds, he was overlooked yesterday for his own place in the Hall. Of course, despite being the game's all-time home run leader, Bonds' links to performance-enhancing drugs have kept him out. It's something former Jay and Giant Kevin Pillar says doesn't make sense.
You know a Hall of Famer when you see one. I know all the noise and speculation and all the things around Barry Bonds, but when you talk about impact on the game, you talk about the most dominant baseball player of all time, it's Barry Bonds. It's a very easy answer. I think we're doing the Hall of Fame an injustice by not having him in there.
Bonds not alone, by the way, in being overlooked because of links to PEDs. The same thing happened yesterday to Roger Clemens and Gary Sheffield. Meanwhile, Jeff Kent is in, prompting one person to tweet, "The guy teams were fine pitching to after intentionally walking Barry Bonds has now reached the Hall of Fame ahead of Barry Bonds."
All right. Thank you, Scott.
You betcha.
Lots to think about, talk about there. Scott's back with more morning sports every morning this week on Information Radio. You're on CBC 89.3 FM. Quick traffic, I know before the news here. McPhillips and Maple Glen traffic signals flashing red in all directions. So treat that as an always stop today. Use caution passing through, of course. And speaking of light, still ahead on our show, light pollution is dimming our views of the stars. Now, that's the argument from a group of local astronomers trying to create a second dark sky preserve in our province in Manitoba. We're going to meet one of them and the filmmaker behind a new documentary about dark skies. Right now, your CBC Winnipeg News.
This is CBC News. Good morning, I'm Josh Crabb in Winnipeg. At 7:30, it's cloudy and minus 14 downtown. It's minus 12 in Melita and minus 30 in Tiduli Lake. A former illegal worker says he toiled long hours without getting proper pay from the hotel chain that hired him. Manitoba Employment Standards ordered Western Star to pay Victor Padilla-Rees nearly $85,000 in owed wages after spending nearly a year working in Melita. He says the hotel chain has appealed that and two other rulings involving former employees. Padilla-Rees says the hotel cost him years of his life.
I was in the country. I cannot speak English. I don't have enough money for come back to my country, and I don't know. We have some law can protect me about that, but I don't know nothing about that.
An Alberta-based nonprofit helped him get a work permit earlier this year. The nonprofit says they would like to see tougher penalties for employers that exploit workers. Western Star's owners denied they illegally hired foreign workers. Two broken elevators in an Osborne Village high-rise are causing big problems for about 180 residents at the 55-plus building. Building management says they stopped working during a power outage in the area Thursday morning. Manitoba Hydro says a squirrel damaged some of their equipment. When electricity was restored, the elevators still wouldn't run. It could be several days before crews can fix them. Daniel Anselin lives on the 16th floor and has to take the stairs.
It's not a good situation. We were, and there's a lot of people here that need the elevator. They have to get in and out. Because they're in, wheelchairs or in the other things, and it's not easy. I mean, I got to go up 16 floors. I mean, I can do it. I'm healthy, but there's a lot of people in here that aren't healthy.
The property manager at 64 Nassau Street called in technicians to fix the elevators, but the problem required sending away parts and ordering a set of replacements. January Malillo with Murdoch Management says they're doing everything they can to get the elevators back up and running.
The impact is great, tremendous. There's really no way to put it into words. Just in the time that I was there Thursday evening, you had, home care making calls saying that there were some residents who were scheduled for surgery on Friday who would now, have to push that back because there's no way they can come down.
Malillo says they're helping organize groceries and deliveries for residents who can't leave their suites. She says it's a tight-knit building and residents are also helping each other. CBC Manitoba's Make the Season Kind has set a record. On Friday, programming on all platforms raised money for Harvest Manitoba. Vince Barletta is the president and CEO of Harvest. He says between individual and matching donations this year raised more money than ever.
We have, I'm pleased to say, a brand new record total for Make the Season Kind with the matching funds, $516,940. That's about $14,000 more than we did last year.
Barletta says each dollar donated will turn into $10 worth of food because of the purchasing agreements Harvest has with retailers and suppliers. He says the need is especially great this year. A former Winnipeg Jets goalie expects there to be a passionate show of fandom when the team hosts an outdoor game next season. The 2026 Heritage Classic will be played at Princess Auto Stadium October 25th. Joe Daly says playing an outdoor game takes pro hockey players back to their roots.
It really does something for a city. That type of event is cherished by franchises, and so I'm glad we're getting it again.
Winnipeg previously hosted the Heritage Classic in 2016, losing to the Edmonton Oilers in front of more than 30,000 fans. The only Heritage Classic the Jets have won came against the Calgary Flames in 2019 at Mosaic Stadium in Regina. And finally, the arena in St. Pierre-Jolie reopened to skaters on Saturday. The community south of Winnipeg announced in late October a temporary closure until January for repairs, but they were able to get it back open sooner than expected. Yvette Lafreniere has 3 children who play hockey. She says the closure was hard on her family and other hockey-loving community members.
The rec center closure was a really difficult situation for our community. Many circumstances played a role in it, but we're extremely happy to see it reopening. It's a pillar to the health of our community and the recreation and liveliness of our community.
Lafreniere is happy that St. Pierre-Jolie residents will be able to skate over the holidays this year. And that is CBC News from Winnipeg. Your next local news is at 8:30.
All right, thank you, Josh.
Thank you.
Let's get into what's happening in this regional forecast. A snowy day and week ahead, Abby.
Yes, Marcy. Up north, we're looking at bitter cold and extreme frostbite. We're talking about wind chills in the valleys of -30s to -42s up north and southern region. We're going to see periods of snow begin around the noon period. Winnipeg right now, we're at -14, feels like 23. We warm up to -11 later. Brandon, Dauphin, you're looking at temperatures hover between -15 and -13 at this time. Seeing light snow out. Thompson is at -22. Light snow falling there. Churchill, we have ice crystals at -25, but the wind chill feels like -42. Frostbite is a thing this morning.
I love when you miss the minus, but you miss it. It's implied. You know, it's -14 feels like 23. And I'm like, I know that means -23, but my little heart sometimes leaps and goes, what? Oh,
What?
yeah, no, clearly not.
There is no plus. It's all minuses.
Especially this week. But you know what? That just means that the drive's going to be challenging too. So keep that in mind if you're going anywhere. Whenever we get warmer, right? It gets stickier out there. Okay, Corey Funk is here to talk about those things. Hi.
Hello. Yeah, a couple of things to keep an eye out for here in the city. So we've been talking about it so far. McPhillips and Maple Glen, the traffic signals are flashing red in all directions, so look out for that. As well, there's some construction on Portage Avenue westbound between Sherbrooke and Maryland. In the westbound middle lanes, they're closed for electrical work. So heads up there. Those other lanes are open, but the westbound middle lane, that might throw you off a little bit this morning. Other than that, though, if you do see something going on, especially on the highways, I'm curious to see if that snow is impacting your commute. You can give me a call on the CBC Commute line if you're walking, biking, driving. Would love to hear from you. That number, 204-788-3093.
Thank you, Corey Funk.
Thank you.
You're listening to Information Radio, the morning show here on CBC Manitoba. I'm Marcy Marcusa. Well, armed with light meters and cameras and compasses, a group of volunteers are on a hunt to find dark skies. Now, that is not as easy as you might think. That quest is at the heart of Dark Skies. It's a new 44-minute documentary on CBC Gem.
What does it mean to be human? What is my place on this earth? What is my place in the universe?
Most people now in North America have never seen the Milky Way. That's tragic.
Light pollution is essentially the excess use of light that goes up into the sky when it's not necessary.
Of all the forms of pollution out there, light pollution is one of the simplest things to deal with.
The Dark Sky Preserve is an ecological designation which allows us to bring nature back to its natural forms.
My connection to the sky, it is spiritual and always has been.
New documentary about the pursuit of a new dark sky preserve here in Manitoba. Tyler Funk is the filmmaker behind the new 44-minute film, which can be seen, as I mentioned, on CBC Gem. And Tyler's in studio. Good morning.
Good morning.
Sylvia Graca is here as well, one of the astronomers featured in the film, hoping to establish this second dark sky preserve in the province. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
The images in this, Tyler, I mean, they're beautiful. Radio listeners couldn't see it unless they were watching on our YouTube stream, but the shots of the sky are gorgeous. How long have you guys been working on this?
Well, I started in 2024, I think, is when we first started filming.
Yeah.
In the spring.
All over the province?
Yeah, Spruce Woods was a big location further south, about an hour south of Winnipeg. kind of in the middle of nowhere out there. All over. Yeah.
And the reason you were there is because that's where the Dark Sky Preserve is existing. We should revisit this. I know it was mentioned in the clip, Sylvia, but what is a Dark Sky Preserve?
Well, a dark sky preserve is essentially a location that is going to be protected from light pollution. So it doesn't mean that, you're going to be in the middle of nowhere with no lights in the pitch dark. But what it means is that the area will be protected from unnecessary lights. So instead of having a light on that's really bright, it's going to be a dimmer type of light, a warmer hue. It's going to be turned off when it's not necessary. It's going to be shielded. So instead of a light shining up into the sky and all over the place, it's going to be shielded and shining towards the ground where it's needed. So that's what the dark sky preserves are.
And not ruining the view of the natural darkness, the sky, the stars. Tell us about the one in Spruce Woods Provincial Park that already exists.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that was a dark sky preserve that was established in 2022 with the of course, the park is the entity that requested the dark sky preserve. And so when they requested it, as volunteers with the Royal Astronomical Society of Canada, we help them to, take inventory of what kind of infrastructure they have, so what kind of lights they had. And once we were able to help them, changing those lights to more compliant lighting, they were able to obtain this dark sky preserve out there.
It's about 190 square kilometers. It's for people that are trying to situate, where Spruce Woods here, like it's Highway 201 between Stewartburn and Vida, and it's to the east. So I think that the northern boundary is not quite established. So this is about 1 hour south of Winnipeg. Is that right?
This is the
one
am
I describing the new one?
Yeah, that's the new one.
Okay.
So
that's what you guys are wanting to do. What does it entail to try to get that to happen then in that area?
So what we've done so far over the last few years is basically we go out there and we take an assessment of the location. So we measure what the light pollution is in the sky, how dark the skies are. We take photographs of the area. We also reach out to the public and we do presentations about light pollution. We take our telescopes out there. We show people the wonderful things that are in the sky. And Nature Conservancy already has a beautiful, pristine, dark sky out there. So it was just a matter of taking pictures of the whole area and establishing a baseline. So now that we know what the dark skies are like, we're going to protect those dark skies and try to maintain that baseline or maybe even improve it as time goes by.
So Monday, Spruce Woods, and I'm describing south of Winnipeg like I've lived here my whole life. Tyler, we heard a bit of a film in the introduction. Of course, I heard a bit about your film. Why did you want to share this and tell this story?
Yeah. Well, I found out about dark sky preserves a couple of years ago. I didn't know what they were. I'd never heard of them before, and found out Spruce Woods was one of them, and there was only one in Manitoba. So it got me interested, and I wanted to find out how it became a dark sky preserve, who was behind it. And that's how I met Sylvia and a few other astronomers in the city that worked on helping Spruce Woods make it a dark sky preserve. And I'm always looking for reasons to get out in nature. I love filming outside of the city, out in nature. But also when I met Sylvia and her friends, Jerry and Tim, and I just thought these folks are awesome and I need to get to know them and learn from them, learn their passion for the night sky.
What was one of the most beautiful nights that you could describe to us? What were you filming?
Well, one thing that always comes to mind is the first time I went out with Sylvia and Jerry to do the sky readings south of the city. It's about an hour south. It started getting darker and darker, and suddenly it's like, wow, it's very dark. And the sky just kind of opens up. It was a clear sky, a perfect night. But what I found interesting is when Jerry points out, looking towards the city, there's a glow. There's, and he's like, that's Winnipeg. And we're an hour drive away from the city, and we can still see the glow of Winnipeg. And it's not a very big city. Mm-hmm. And I just found that quite surprising.
Yeah, it's just it's an illustrative example of the pollution we're talking about.
Yeah. And Jerry says it really nicely. He says that part of the sky is gone. Mm. So that's just an example of like how it can slowly disappear.
Less light or different types of light help with this? When you think about your different types of what can actually help to deter the glow, to make the sky darker.
Yeah, so Tyler just mentioned how you can see the glow of the city of Winnipeg way out from Nature Conservancy. And the reason for that, I mean, we got to give credit to the city of Winnipeg. I mean, a few years ago, they changed all of their light standards.
That's what I was asking. Yeah, right. That's kind of the bar we have in the city to understand a little bit of this.
Yeah, so they have this full cutoff lighting. So earlier, we didn't have full cutoff, meaning that the light would even illuminate up into the sky, sideways, and all over the place.
It was worse.
It would scatter. But the fatal part that the city of Winnipeg did is that they did great in having the shields, but they chose such a hot type of light. It's so bright and so white that it scatters even more throughout the sky.
Oh, it's not better.
So
okay.
It ended up being worse. Yeah, and that's because in a way, it ended up being worse because white light scatters more easily than the reddish. Do you remember the old lights in Winnipeg used to be in an orangey, reddish glow? Yeah. So that didn't take away so much from the sky. But this sky, to see the stars, you need that contrastiness, the black sky with the bright stars.
So say you gather all of this data and you hear from the people in the area and there's a support for this, dark sky preserve. Does it get an official designation? How does it remain that way then?
Yeah, so basically the Nature Conservancy right now is gathering all of the data and all of the pictures to provide to the Royal Astronomical Society of Canada, which is the body that will issue the designation for dark sky preserves. And once that designation is issued, that area will be protected from light pollution.
What does it mean to you to be part of the process, to having this happen for people here?
It means a lot to me because really light pollution is just so detrimental to the ecosystem, to wildlife, to humans. And there are numerous studies out there showing how it negatively impacts everything. But even a tragic thing that we hardly ever talk about is how 80% of people in North America never see the Milky Way. And I mean, it's such an amazing thing to look at a star, at a sky that's full of stars. You just can't help but ask those important questions, those deep questions of who are we, what are we? It makes us kinder people to see. And young people are not seeing their place in the universe because they don't get to see the stars at all.
It took 13 years to establish the Spruce Woods Provincial Park Dark Reserve. Do you have a sense at all about where you are in the process of having this happen south of Winnipeg?
I am very optimistic. I have a feeling that it's going to be done fairly quickly because right now they're at the completion stages of the whole thing. They're getting feedback from the community, and so far the feedback is very positive.
I was going to ask about that as well. Yeah.
People are very positive about this, and they're really happy to have their areas being designated as a dark sky preserve. So it's just a matter of gathering that information, packaging it up, and sending it to the Royal Astronomical Society for analysis and hopefully approval.
This is a beautiful documentary. Thank you very much for being in and telling us about it, Tyler, and nice to meet you, Sylvia, as well.
Nice to meet you, too. Thank you.
So Sylvia Graca, local astronomer, helping to establish Manitoba's second dark sky preserve. Tyler Funk, the Winnipeg filmmaker behind Dark Skies. It's a 44-minute documentary, and if you want to watch it, it is free, and you can find it on CBC Gem right now.
I'm Suresh Das. I've spent my career writing about the local favorites that make Canada's food scene truly unique. I bit into a chili. Woo! From vibrant street food to comforting traditional dishes.
The most important ingredients in jollof rice, love.
To innovative, personal twists.
Butter chicken lasagna. Butter chicken lasagna. That's what made it all happen.
I believe every bite tells a story. Now, I want to share those stories with you.
New series Locals Welcome with Suresh Das. Watch free on CBC Gem.
7:47 a.m. on 89.3 FM, 990 a.m. on the app, on YouTube. We're everywhere. Thank you for joining us. So depending on where you are today, you're going to have to be thinking about snow. 2 to 4 centimeters in Winnipeg, Brandon about 5 centimeters, and also a special weather statement that's going to bring you even more, up to 20 in a storm that's coming Tuesday to Wednesday through the Parkland region. And Thompson today with periods of light snow as well. So that's what's going on with the snow system. Last week was really cold. This week's going to be really snowy. And if you do need us on the morning commute today, on Monday morning, 788-3093 is where you can reach us. Coming up here on the show after 8 o'clock on the program, as we've been telling you, the Winnipeg Parking Authority is proposing this plan for citizens to report drivers who park illegally. We're going to have a conversation about the ethics of snitching, when it's useful and when it might cause more harm. So that's coming up after 8 o'clock here on Information Radio. Next on CBC, though, the province has found a new proposed location for Manitoba's first consumption site. The proposed location is now 366 Henry Avenue, so it's west of Main Street, it's north of Logan, and it comes after the NDP government backed off their initial proposal to put the site on Disraeli Street after local residents raised some concerns. So this is just a moment of Wap Kinew, our premier, saying Friday that this location was probably the best thing the province could do to balance the considerations of the community.
We found a location here that's close enough to where a lot of the other services are in the region, where there is a lot of need clearly in the community, but also it's maybe set back, we could say, from some of those other places where we know kids or families are going to be in the area.
So that's Manitoba Premier Wap Kinew. The consumption site will, to be clear, not supply drugs. It will allow people to inject drugs, and there will be staff on hand to respond to any overdose moment. Kinew says the facility is part of Manitoba's strategy for harm reduction. We did speak to a nearby business owner who has some concerns. Pampanga Restaurant and Banquet Hall is across the street from the proposed site on Henry. She says, her business has already been subject to some vandalism, to people soliciting, and car break-ins. So she's not only concerned about the effect that this site will have on her restaurant, she also says she's concerned how it could influence people at nearby Siloam Mission. Here's just a minute of what she said to CBC's Gavin Axelrod.
To be honest, I'm not really a fan of it, just because of where we're already located and what's around us. Just having that and what we have right now, I just don't think that would be a great mesh. And there's a school over there, right across the building. And with the struggles that I already deal with day to day, I just don't think it would work.
You sort of know about a safe consumption site. What did you know before today?
Nothing. I knew nothing, and I don't know too much about it. So, yeah.
How much of a role do you think the government has to play in making sure the public is educated and actually knows what's going to be going on in that building?
100%. I think they should let everyone know and be very out there, just saying, hey, we're here to help, but also this is what's going to happen, and putting it in an area where it's it's central, but it's also so close to another location that people go to and resort to help. And then now you're adding people who are allowed to do that. Now they're let's just go there. That's not helping these people who are already maybe possibly struggling. It's just too close to that area.
So that is Kelly Miranda's perspective, manager of Pampanga Restaurant and Banquet Hall, across from the proposed supervised consumption site. The school she mentioned is Dufferin School. She said straight across. We just were looking at a map. It's about 5 blocks west of the site, but it is on the corner of Salter and Logan. Joining us to talk through this, Bernadette Smith is Manitoba's Minister of Housing, Addictions and Homelessness and is in studio live. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me, Marcy.
So why that location?
People are using in and around that area, and Winnipeg Fire Police and paramedics have, responded to the majority of calls in that area. We know that we had 570 deaths last year. A good portion of those were out and around that area, but we also know that not only people are dying in the streets and overdosing in the streets, we know that people are overdosing in their homes, and we know that people need access to supports. And this is exactly what this site is going to accomplish. It's going to give people a place to consume, but a place to access resources, primary health care, mental health supports, a place to get access to housing, and someone with compassionate, caring support that is going to build relationships and help people realize that they have potential, that they can get onto a path of recovery, get their lives back on track, get their kids back if that's what led them to where they're at, deal with the trauma that's led them to why they're dealing with what they're dealing with, and really help them aspire to be the best person that they want to be.
Finding the location's been a challenge. Obviously, you had a location in mind, heard from community, chose this location instead. And now, again, we're hearing a business owner here saying that she has concerns. How do you speak to her concerns about the school nearby and also about her feeling that, Siloam is right around the corner, and how does this fit into the population that's already there?
Yeah, for sure. And it's a proposed location, right? And we have to follow federal regulations, and you have to have a site with a address, and that's exactly what happened with Disraeli. So we have consultations, we listen to the community and their concerns, and we certainly heard the concerns of the community at Disraeli. So away from schools, away from daycares, we put in a 250-meter policy. So it's certainly outside that radius. We want to make sure that we were listening to that. We looked at other jurisdictions. So when I was in opposition, I went to many other provinces, looked at what they were doing, and safety and security is absolutely number one concern for us. So we
how
are
do you
listening.
address it? What do you do?
We are working with the police. We are working with Downtown Community Partnership. We are looking at working with Aboriginal Health and Wellness. They will have community wellness ambassadors to make sure that people are coming in. And then certainly enforcement is number one. We do not want people using in and around. We want to make sure people are coming inside, accessing those services. And right now, people are using openly everywhere, in parks. You're driving, you see people, hunched over. You see people using openly.
So when you hear Kelly Miranda talk about being concerned that population will be at greater risk, your perspective is that's not necessarily the case. That population will be, tempted somehow to use more because there's an indoor facility?
Our perspective is that we're going to lead people to the services and supports that they need to get them onto a path of recovery and get them onto the life that they want to live. Nobody chooses to be addicted.
Have you had consultations yet with people in that area?
We have not. We've sent out invitations. We've certainly heard from people that were concerned that they didn't get an invitation, so we reached out to them, made sure that they got invitations. And we want to hear from Manitobans. Certainly this was a mandate that we heard from Manitobans. They wanted to see a place and a space where people can use, but most certainly get the resources and supports that they need.
So you have a meeting, I think, Salome Mission, December 9th. There's an in-person meeting. There's a virtual meeting on December 11th as well. After those meetings, how much opposition would there need to be for you to consider moving it yet again? Because, after Disraeli, that's what happened. Could this possibly not be where the site will be?
Yeah, we continue to take that feedback, listen to that feedback, and certainly, we look at what the concerns are. And our number one concern, again, is safety, security, but we want to keep Manitobans alive. We come from a harm reduction approach. We come from an enforcement approach. We come from an education approach. And certainly we want to make sure that we are getting those folks to the supports and recovery. And recovery is, something that people haven't had access to for a very long time. We've put over 800 new spots into the system. We're putting another 400. We're building pathways so people can get straight into detox and recovery. We want to ensure that people are getting the supports and services that they need, so desperately need for so long. It's part of Your Way Home strategy, getting people, connected to housing and wraparound supports and stabilized.
If I may ask you a last question, I'm going to push Josh's news headlines for a second here because this actually is probably something the news department wants to know. It hasn't even been a week since the new detox center has opened, right? The 72-hour center. How was the first week, and can you share with us how many people or anything about how it went?
It's been successful, and, we haven't had any concerns. And basically, this is just an extension of what has been already happening at Main Street Project. I know there were a lot of concerns from the community. And again, this is just, given more authority outside of alcohol for other substances. And it's going very well. It's been successful.
And do we, Minister, have any numbers to how many people went through this week yet, or?
No, we don't share numbers because, it's people's privacy, right? And we want to keep that privacy, their own privacy. So, again, this is about getting people the services and supports that they need so that they can get onto a path of recovery and support them and meet them where they're at. And Manitoba is trending in the right direction. Provinces are looking at us and saying, what are you doing there? How can we do this in our province?
And how are you measuring it being successful? That I'm just curious.
Ensuring that, people are getting the supports that they need.
Is it because you haven't heard issues, though, out of the first week? Is that what's making you say it's been successful?
Yes.
Since it opened?
It's successful in that way. People are accessing those services. Relationships are being built, and we're going to continue to build on that model.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for your time live today on CBC.
Thank you as well for having me.
So that is Bernadette Smith, Manitoba's Minister of Housing, Addictions and Homelessness. As I mentioned, Josh Crabb is here with a quick headline.
Good morning. Foreign workers are accusing a hotel chain in Manitoba and Saskatchewan with a history of labor violations of taking advantage of them, including a man from Mexico who says he worked long hours for nearly a year without getting the proper pay. Your next local news is at 7:30.
All right. Thanks very much, Josh. You're listening to CBC's Information Radio, 89.3 FM, 990 AM on the app and YouTube. More to come. World Report is next.
Bye.
Maggie O'Farrell wrote the novel Hamnet after she learned that William Shakespeare lost a son right before he wrote Hamlet. Now that novel has been adapted into a movie starring Paul Mescal and Jessie Buckley. Maggie will be here to talk about what drew her to that story and why we don't know that much about Shakespeare.
Q with Tom Power this morning at 10:30 in Newfoundland and on CBC Listen or wherever you get your podcasts. The CBC News is next. Coming up in half an hour, it's The Current with Matt Galloway.
Buy now, pay later. It is an offer showing up on nearly everything you buy online, even your takeout dinner. It's tempting, but experts warn it's a form of debt that can easily lead to overspending without realizing the consequences. It's coming up on The Current.
This is World Report. Good morning, I'm Dave Seglins. Air Transat pilots are poised to walk off the job as early as Wednesday. Their union issued a 72-hour strike notice yesterday. Now, the Montreal-based company is preparing for flight cancellations, and thousands of holiday travelers are worried that their plans may be about to change. Caroline Bargout reports.
So I was looking forward to this.
Rebecca Robertson is supposed to fly to Punta Cana on Tuesday. Those plans now up in the air.
So now I'm sitting here and I'm crying and I'm anxious because I don't know what's going to happen and nobody can tell me what's going to happen.
I can guarantee you this is a last resort.
Bradley Small is the spokesperson for the pilots union. He says their contract was negotiated 10 years ago and needs to be brought in line with what Air Canada and WestJet pilots receive.
We hope within the next few days we'll hammer out a fair agreement, fair to us, fair to the pilots, fair to the company, and be there to fly those airplanes.
Air Transat says the strike notice is premature. Dave Bordage is the vice president of flight operations. He says the company has offered a 59% wage increase over 5 years and hopes the two sides can come to an agreement soon.
What we've put on the table is a very generous offer for the pilot. What we're asking them to do is be at the table and make proposals that are in line with that.
In the meantime, Air Transat says it will begin repatriating passengers to keep them from getting stranded if there is a strike. It's also allowing concerned passengers to rebook their flights free of charge. Caroline Bargout, CBC News, Vancouver.
A spokesperson for the Christian Association of Nigeria says the government has rescued 100 school children. The students were taken on November 21st in what is considered to be one of Nigeria's worst mass kidnappings. More than 300 children and school staff were kidnapped by armed gunmen in Niger State. It is the latest in a new surge of violent attacks and kidnappings that are prompting many parents to keep their kids home from school. As Kunle Babs reports, experts warn that without stronger security, a generation could lose its chance to learn.
I'm worried that the delay in our education is going to drag me back.
13-year-old Ephraim Okon dreams of becoming an engineer, but instead of being in class, he has been stuck at home after his school in Abuja, Nigeria's capital, shut down due to kidnapping threats.
The insecurity is going to give me a setback for me not to achieve my dream.
His mother, Glory, says fear now decides her son's education, not teachers or textbooks.
I feel pain and disorganized. It's scary. He's supposed to be in school, receiving lectures, preparing for the exam.
Ephraim is among thousands of students forced out of class after the government closed 47 federal unity schools nationwide, following a wave of attacks. Just last November, gunmen attacked and abducted over 300 pupils in 2 separate incidents.
It has huge negative effects on the learners.
Bakore Moyo is a school teacher also based in Abuja. She says the break in learning could have long-term consequences.
Because they get to miss time in learning, there's a gap in their learning experience.
Nigeria has Africa's largest number of out-of-school children, more than 18 million according to the United Nations. The government has announced sweeping security measures, from new chiefs to expanded police recruitment. But for parents like Glory, every day at home feels like a day lost and many fear young Nigerians may never reclaim the futures they once dreamed of. Kunle Babs for CBC News, Abuja, Nigeria.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says it is possible Israel and Hamas could move into the second phase of their ceasefire as early as this week. The second phase involves disarming Hamas militants and the withdrawal of Israeli troops. It also includes the deployment of an international police force to the territory and the forming of a temporary Palestinian government. Thailand and Cambodia are accusing each other of breaking their ceasefire. The Thai army has released this video showing an explosion in what it claims is Sisaket province near the border with Cambodia. Now, the video has not been independently verified. Thailand claims that Cambodia mobilized heavy weaponry so then launched airstrikes along the disputed border. A spokesperson for Cambodia's Ministry of Defense says that the Thai side fired first and its own troops did not retaliate. People are fleeing their villages on both sides of the border. In October, U.S. President Donald Trump pushed Thailand and Cambodia to sign a ceasefire deal, but since then, tensions have continued to simmer. Well, the U.S. President, Donald Trump, is appearing positive when it comes to trade relations with Canada, but he stopped short of committing to restarting negotiations. Trump spoke last night for the first time since his recent meeting with Prime Minister Mark Carney and Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum. The CBC's Katie Simpson has the latest from Washington.
Will you restart negotiations with Canada?
Donald Trump walked the red carpet on his way into the Kennedy Center Honors Gala when a reporter asked him several questions about Canada, including whether now is the time to restart trade talks.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, the problem is Canada makes a lot of things that we don't need because we make them also. But we'll work it out.
Negotiations between Canada and the U.S. broke off in late October. Canada had hoped the Trump administration would agree to lowering some tariffs, but that faded when Trump suspended talks because he was angry about an anti-tariff ad run by the province of Ontario. The president's non-committal answer comes after his Friday meeting with Prime Minister Mark Carney and Mexico's President Claudia Sheinbaum. The three leaders and World Cup co-hosts had gathered in Washington to take part in the FIFA World Cup final draw.
And we spoke for a half hour. Very good, very productive. Talked mostly trade.
Trump's overall tone toward Canada seemed generally upbeat and once again respectful.
Look, I have a great relationship with Canada. They're very tough traders, but I have a very good relationship with the Prime Minister and with Canada.
Despite Trump's positive talk, it hasn't led to any sort of trade breakthroughs. Since Carney came into office, some tariff rates have gone up and new tariffs have been added. Katie Simpson, CBC News, Washington.
And the U.S. president wants to investigate anti-competitive behavior in America's food supply chain. Donald Trump has announced that he is establishing food supply chain security task forces. They will be investigating the risks of price fixing and what they may be costing American households. The CBC's Willie Lowry joins me now from Washington. Willie, what do we know about this latest directive from Trump?
The Trump administration is trying to tackle rising grocery prices as it grapples with an affordability crisis. Over the weekend, President Donald Trump signed an executive order to stop what the administration calls price fixing and anti-competitive actions, especially by foreign companies. The administration says, quote, foreign-controlled companies are increasingly involved in key segments, potentially creating national security risks and driving up the costs of food for American families. Under the executive order, Trump has called for both the Justice Department and the Federal Trade Commission to create task forces to look into the problem. The task forces will be required to report back to Congress in 6-month intervals about what they found and any recommendations they may have.
So will this move have any impact on the price of groceries anytime soon?
It's unlikely the average American household will see a difference in the near future. The task force has that 6-month process before it reports to Congress and a year to provide progress reports. Even then, they will have to provide recommendations to Congress. But this is part of a wider effort by the Trump administration to show Americans that it's tackling the high prices of food. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent said the administration's efforts are working.
What we're not going to do is say that Americans don't know what they're feeling. We've been working on it every day. But remember, we've got this embedded inflation from the Biden years.
President Trump will travel to Pennsylvania later this week as part of a concerted effort to convince Americans that his economic agenda is working for them.
The CBC's Willie Lowry in Washington. Thanks, Willie.
My pleasure.
And finally, the nominations for the 83rd Annual Golden Globes are out.
Best Screenplay, Motion Picture. Paul Thomas Anderson, One Battle After Another.
Matlock actress Sky P. Marshall announcing the list of nominees. Her co-star and Hollywood legend Kathy Bates is up for Best Female Actor in a Television Drama. Paul Thomas Anderson's movie One Battle After Another leads with 9 nominations overall, including Best Director. And among the other big nominees are Sentimental Value and Sinners, which garnered 7 nominations each. 2 Canadians will battle it out for Best Male Actor in a Television Musical or Comedy. Seth Rogen, nominated for The Studio, while Martin Short is up for Only Murders in the Building. Rogen's co-star, Catherine O'Hara, is also up for Best Supporting Female Actor. And that is the latest national and international news from World Report. I'm Dave Seglins. This is CBC News.
Good morning, Manitoba, and hello, Winnipeg. How's your weekend, everyone? Thanks for starting Monday with us here on Information Radio. This is CBC Manitoba's morning show. I'm Marcy Marcusa with our team here at 89.3 FM. Also on 990 AM on the app and on YouTube. This hour on the program, the Winnipeg Parking Authority, as we shared in the news last week, is considering letting you, the public, report parking violations with photos. But is it ethically sound? We're going to talk about this with an ethicist from the University of Manitoba. The idea about the ethics of snitching, when it's useful and when it might cause more harm. So that's coming up this half hour on the show. Stay with us. Josh Crabb is here now with our CBC headlines.
Good morning. 2 elevators are broken in an Osborne Village high-rise in the aftermath of a power outage last Thursday morning, which Manitoba Hydro says was caused by a squirrel. Now, some of the 180 people who live at the 55-plus building can't get out of their suites. And the arena in St. Pierre-Jolie reopened sooner than expected on Saturday after an unforeseen closure. Staying with hockey news, excitement is growing in Winnipeg following the announcement over the weekend the Jets will host an outdoor game next season. The 2026 Heritage Classic will be played on October 25th at Princess Auto Stadium. Your next local CBC News is at 8:30.
All right, thanks, Josh.
Thank you.
That'll be fun, something to look forward to. Let's get into what's happening in the forecast here. If you like snow, you have something to look forward to, Abby.
Well, Marcy, that snow for the Brandon and Dauphin area stopped for now. We have cloudy conditions there, but still, that weather statement, that special weather statement has been issued for the region, the Westman, the Parkland region, covering Brandon, Dauphin and surrounding community, with tracking large winter storm that will be threatening to bring heavy snow, strong winds and freezing rain starting overnight all the way into Wednesday. We're talking about 10 to 20 centimeters of snow, and that would come with freezing rain also. So commuting might be difficult for later this week for folks in the Westman and the Parkland region. While up north, we're dealing with the wind chills that's in that range of minus 40s this morning. Conditions in Winnipeg, we're still sitting at minus 14. That's where we'll be for most of the morning. We only warmed about minus 11 late, and then around noon, that snow would come in, and we're looking at about 2 to 4 centimeters of snow once the system comes our way.
Do you know what I did yesterday in this cold weather?
Hi,
Corey. Corey and Abby. So were you guys out this weekend for any length of time out in the like frigid stuff?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So yesterday I went out. I'm totally my mother's daughter. I was like partially dressed for what I was doing. I was making these like arrangements with like, I don't know, different greens I got and stuff. So I'm out there with like a good toque and a coat on. But for whatever reason, I'm like, I won't be out here long. I had like socks and slippers on.
Oh, sounds like me.
I was like half dressed for it. I don't know why. Like, why not finish being dressed for it? But I was like, I'm good. I'm ready. I'm out. And then, it was cold. I was out there 2 hours in the end.
It was cold. It affected me because I did some grocery shopping and I wanted to do the strongman thing. I had 3 bags.
Oh.
3 on my left, 3 on my right, and I was using 2 fingers to like hold this. And then, Marcy, the worst thing happened because the key was in the inner pocket.
Oh,
and
I didn't
want to drop everything, but I had to like suffer myself. Like, how do I get this?
And then it's
out?
kind of gross. You don't really want to put the
I don't wanna
groceries
put
on
it
the
down,
ground on the
exactly.
outside. But then you're like, there's a bag. It's okay, but you can't get the key. I know.
I'm so traumatized.
It's the winter things, people. We're just getting into it. Okay. Traffic is pretty good, I think, Corey, or what's up?
Yeah, pretty good. It's gotten a little bit better ever since those lights at McPhillips and Maple Glen have stopped flashing red. They're good to go. But if you're on westbound Portage, you might notice you lose the middle lane for electrical work. That's for just between Maryland and Sherbrooke, so that might throw you off a little bit there if you're heading westbound on Portage. But if you do see anything else still going on, it's been a fairly quiet commute overall. You can give me a call on the CBC commuter line. That number 204-788-3093.
Well, let's get into this story about the Winnipeg Parking Authority's proposal. Would you report on someone parked illegally by sending a photo to the vehicle to the city? The Winnipeg Parking Authority says they want to explore this. If approved, you'd be able to submit photos of parking violations. The Parking Authority would then mail parking tickets to the vehicle owner based on that evidence alone. A spokesperson for the Parking Authority says it's in the very early stages of exploring this as an idea, and it would only be used in times where there are no officers available or the vehicle is gone by the time they get there. But some have questioned whether it's a good idea. Here's what some Winnipeggers, had to say.
I think in some situations I would do that. Yeah, not all the time though. I won't be able to confront someone, and probably not me, but somebody should do it.
You mentioned confrontation there. Does that worry you?
I think it could land me in trouble. Well, depending on the situation, if it's dangerous or if I think it's like interfering in other people's life, then I would do it. Like if it's in the middle of the road and then it's blocking someone else, then I would do that. But if it's on the side and it's not, then I might not do that.
I think it's a good idea. Like if there was something that's like dangerous to other people, I would consider reporting it, but I'm not driving it, so I don't really know.
Gerald Lightway.
The city is asked for looking over an idea to have people take photos of cars parked incorrectly, and then that person would get a ticket instantly. How do you feel about that?
I feel like it would depend on the situation because sometimes you don't know if maybe another person is parked incorrectly before them, so they might have to do that as an option. But it's difficult.
I mean, would you do that?
If it's inconveniencing me, maybe.
Hazel Lamont, Fiona Lamont. So the city is mulling over this idea to have folks take photos of cars they see incorrectly parked, and then they would send it in.
Seems kind of mean-spirited, but if it was, blocking an accessible doorway or entrance for someone, I could totally see that working well. But if it's just, they didn't leave me enough space or whatever, then these things happen. That's life.
CBC's Felicia Adam speaking with some Winnipeggers about the plan for a photo-based public reporting system for parking violations. Arthur Schaefer is here via Zoom, director of the Centre for Professional and Applied Ethics at the University of Manitoba. Good morning.
Good morning, Marcy.
So what do you think of the ethics of this?
Well, I must say I was startled and interested by the overwhelmingly negative response. Editorials in the newspaper, letters to the editor, opinion columns, callers to your show and other radio shows. And almost everyone, upon hearing the proposal, reacted by saying, snitch, rat. They're asking us to become very unpleasant people. So that was interesting, and I think I understand it, and I think there's something true and important in people's reaction, but I think it needs to be it should be a little more nuanced.
Nuanced in what way?
Well, you could see this as part of community policing. So we already in most communities have neighborhood watch. If someone suspicious is happening, neighbors undertake to make our own community safer by reporting things that seem suspicious, potentially dangerous, potentially antisocial. Similarly with block parents, if a kid's in trouble, we take responsibility for each other. And I think that's important. I think our actions as part of solidarity with our neighbors, with our community, is really important. We can't just rely on police. But the reason this parking photo proposal, my view, the reason it got such a negative reaction is because it's proposed to use it for really trivial offenses. So they're not inviting people to send in photos for serious parking offenses, the kind that might endanger pedestrians, endanger motorists, endanger cyclists. But, somebody's misparked in a comparatively harmless way, they're inviting us to participate. And I think people reacted negatively because this would surely, if it became widespread, it would undermine our sense of community cohesion, our sense of solidarity with others. We really would be looking at our neighbors as maybe wanting in a nasty or malicious way to harm us. And that would undermine community solidarity. We all of us rely on our neighbors. You slip on the ice, bash your head, you need assistance. If people don't trust each other, they walk by. So it's a really important social resource that we have a high level of community trust. And reporting trivial parking offenses of your neighbors or even of strangers is more likely to undermine community trust than it is to promote social cohesion.
It's interesting because there has been a lot of reaction. We heard from one of the city councillors, Janice Lukes, who said doesn't like the idea, but she's open to hearing what the parking authority is going to say this week. We also heard from Len Eastoe, who works at fighting traffic tickets for people. He was worried, he's a former police officer, about people not realizing what they're getting into. Like, if you are the person that reports this and police ticket, the said car owner that parked the wrong way, you end up in court then. Like, you have to follow through with that case. How worried should we be about misuse of the system? Like people reporting not out of, this is a hazard, but maybe out of anger or bias or even conflict?
Yeah, I don't know that would be a major worry. It's something that could happen, but then someone could phone the police or phone the parking authority and have them come out, and the motive could be malicious. Look, in a way, I think our reaction has been, as a community, has been somewhat exaggerated. This is not the East German Stasi where we all become secret police spying on each other, and it's not Big Brother. The punishment is presumably a minor fine. So I would caution people not to overreact. On the other hand, I'm really pleased that people have a sense of community and that we don't want to be turned against each other. I think people recognize that community solidarity is an important value. We often don't think about it unless we get into trouble, and then we realize living in a community that hangs together and that looks after each other is a really precious social resource for all of us.
If you had to advise the city, what would you advise them at this point? Proceed or drop this idea?
Well, the idea as put forward was related to trivial parking offenses. I would just drop that. The stakes are low. If somebody reports a car that's misparked and the parking authority doesn't have an inspector to come, so somebody got away with it. On the other hand, for serious offenses where people are placing their car or driving in a way that endangers the public, I mean, if you see your neighbor stagger drunk out of the house and get into the car, if someone is speeding through a red light and putting the lives and safety of others at risk, then I think our role as community-minded citizens is to assist the police.
Just last, are there privacy or ethical are there, I guess it's privacy implications of encouraging people to photograph a stranger's vehicle, or is there an ethical conversation in that aspect of this?
Well, I'm not sure there's much of a privacy concern. After all, if your vehicle's on the street, anyone can photograph it, anyone can see it. You don't really have an expectation of privacy when you're outdoors, when your car is outdoors. So no, I don't think privacy is a major consideration, except the one that was flagged by you a moment ago and by some of the callers, and that is you could have very angry confrontations between people if the person who took the photo, if their identity is revealed either because they're spotted or because they have to go to court to testify. That could be an invasion of privacy that could be potentially serious.
Thank you for this, Arthur. Appreciate it.
Really nice chatting with you, Marcy. Have a good day.
You too. Well, we'll see what the city's going to do with the information in the report this week. You can weigh in on the listener line, 788-3205. Arthur Schaefer's been with us, Director of the Centre for Professional and Applied Ethics at the University of Manitoba, talking about the risks of snitching on parking violators. So Radio Noon actually has this as the call-in today. So I'm guessing it's going to be a busy one between 12:30 and 1. Would you snitch on another person for parking illegally? What do you think of this? So calls live between 12:30 and 1 right here on CBC.
Festive season, there's one place to be with your holiday favorites on CBC. Whether you're a Grinch, hate, double hate, or full of cheer.
Nobody's walking out on this fun old-fashioned family Christmas. No, we're all in this together.
The season's best are waiting right here.
The bell still rings for me, as it does for all who truly believe.
For holiday joy from start to end. Watch free on CBC and CBC Gem.
8:25, Heather called the commuter line. She said eastbound Marion just before Lage, there's a stalled truck with its hood popped in the curb lane. The median lane's open, but it's not too backed up yet. But of course, that might change pretty quickly. So just note that on your commute, 788-3093. It's -14 in Winnipeg. We're expecting snow today, 2 to 4 centimeters. And if you were with us early this morning, then you heard a wonderful update. CBC Manitoba on Friday had Make the Season Kind in support of Harvest Manitoba and its member agencies. And thanks to your generosity, and matching, $516,000, just over that, was raised for Harvest Manitoba. So $1 equals 10. It's just a phenomenal amount of money and generosity that will go a long way to help in our province. It is a record number for Make the Season Kind. So big thanks to everyone who was able to make a donation on Friday, and also to everyone who shared their stories with us and the musicians who make the day so special for us. One of them, Mississippiwastic Cree Nation's Jade Turner, was one of those artists. Here she is with her live version from Friday afternoon of That Wind.
I've been listening for that wind to hum. It's calling me. Oh, it's calling me. I've been getting ready for the day, but when those trees would start to sway, the dawn is here. Oh, the dawn is here. Says, girl, you better answer when that wind calls out your name. Listen to whatever it tells you. It's your time. the crown. They'll grab at anything to bring you down. They said, girl, you better answer when that wind calls out your name. Listen to whatever it tells you. It's your time to light the flame. Hold your head up high. It's time to fly. It's time to fly.
A live version of that Wind from Jade Turner, who was one of the artists for Make the Season Kind on Friday, Mississippi Cree Nation. So cool. It was a really successful, lovely day for the community on Friday. And you can read more about it at cbc.ca/Manitoba. Your news is next.
This is CBC News. Good morning, I'm Josh Crabb in Winnipeg. At 8:30, it's cloudy and minus 14 downtown, light snow and minus 14 in Brandon, light snow and minus 21 in Thompson. Manitoba's addictions minister is defending the government's choice for the province's first supervised consumption site. The proposed site is at 366 Henry Avenue, just north of Logan Avenue. It comes after the NDP government backed off their initial location on Disraeli because there were concerns it was too close to schools and daycares. Some businesses near the new proposed site have already expressed concern. Minister Bernadette Smith says there will be community wellness ambassadors to help people who need the site find it.
We want to make sure people are coming inside, accessing those services. And right now, people are using openly everywhere, in parks. You're driving, you see people, hunched over. You see people using openly.
Smith says the community will be consulted before any final decisions are made. She says the site will help people get support to find their way out of addiction. 2 elevators are broken in an Osborne Village high-rise in the aftermath of a power outage last Thursday morning, which Manitoba Hydro says was caused by a squirrel. Now, about 180 residents at the 55-plus building on Nassau Street have to take the stairs. But Daniel Anselin says some of his neighbors use wheelchairs or live with mobility issues.
It's not easy to do, but I can do it, but there's a lot of people here that just can't, and they're stuck in their places. They've got people. They've got people outside that have come out from the company that are helping out, bringing in groceries and stuff. So that's good. That helps.
January Malillo is with Murdoch Management. She says the elevators, which were installed in 2012, stopped working during the power outage and wouldn't run after the electricity was restored. Technicians told her some of the equipment was damaged and had to be sent out of province for repairs.
We're certainly aware that it's not ideal with not having the 2 elevators, but we also know that some people, are able to remain in their suite for a couple of days, and that's not really going to be a dire situation for them, as long as we can get them what they need.
Malillo says that includes food and medication. She says a few residents have chosen to temporarily move out and stay with family or friends. It has been a record-setting Make the Season Kind for CBC Manitoba and Harvest Manitoba. Once all the donations were counted, more than $516,000 was raised. That's about $14,000 more than last year. Vince Barletta is the president and CEO of Harvest. He says Manitobans really came out to help.
It was great to be getting those calls in all day, donors that were matching funds, some donors, longtime donors, first-time donors, some great challenges to retired teachers and Rotarians, and I know they were coming through. So again, it was a fabulous day.
Barletta says Harvest can take $1 and turn it into $10 worth of food because of deals it makes with suppliers and retailers. He says the need this year is especially great because of the skyrocketing price of food. The arena in St. Pierre-Jolie reopened to skaters on Saturday. In late October, the community south of Winnipeg announced it would be doing unforeseen repairs, and the reopening wouldn't happen until January. but they were able to get it back open sooner than expected over the weekend. Yvette Lafreniere has 3 children who play hockey at the arena. She's excited to see the ice rink open to the public again.
We're happy to see it reopening. Extremely pleased to see that we will be able to get back on the ice and thrive as a community and have our families enjoy it, especially coming on to Christmas.
Lafreniere says her family goes to the arena almost every night. She says being able to skate at their hometown rink again is a blessing. And excitement is growing in Winnipeg following the announcement over the weekend. The Jets will host an outdoor game next season. The 2026 Heritage Classic will be played October 25th at Princess Auto Stadium. Jets fan Richard Martin was at the game last time it was played here in 2016 and says he's excited to go again.
I think it's a big deal. I think we get a bad rap for not being a place where people want to come and go to big events like this. And I think we've proven them wrong with the recent Grey Cup and the playoff push last year with Jets and stuff. So it's good for the city. Can't be bad.
Winnipeg has a 1-1 record at the event, losing to Edmonton in 2016 and beating Calgary in 2019. This will be the 3rd time the Jets take part in the Heritage Classic. And that is the CBC News from Winnipeg. Your next local CBC News is at 9 o'clock.
Thank you, Josh.
Thank you.
So that's Josh Crabb, been with us all morning from our news center. Big thanks to him and Megan Ketchison and Joni Nicolo, as well as to Corey Funk, Abby Adiemi, and Darren Marash, our live crew here in Studio 15. Nellie Gonzalez produces the shows for CBC Manitoba here in the radio, and Leif Larson is a senior producer of audio here. Big thanks also to those who had items in today's Information Radio. Donna Carrero, producer, as well as associate producer Jenna Bedosso, producer Robin Sommerfeld, also Zubina Ahmed, reporter and associate producer, and our community reporter in our CA unit is Shanalee Vidal. So thanks to Shanalee. Final look at the traffic situation, Corey.
Eastbound Marion, just before Lashmodier, got a call from Heather that there was a large truck stalled in the far right lane, hood up, so it might be a while till it gets anywhere. So keep left to get around that. Might be some backups there as well. Westbound Portage between Maryland and Sherbrooke, you lose your middle lane to electrical work.
All right, Corey.
The southern part of the province. Abby. I know it's the cold.
Well,
blame it on the cold.
So the weather, it's
I have nothing for why I mix up your names all the time, except for the fact that apparently I keep it together for almost 3 hours, and right at the end of the show, I just start throwing out random names. So go for it, Heather. How's the weather?
Well,
that was intentional.
Snow for the southern part of the province and up north. We're looking at that wind chill still being a concern. Ice crystals in Churchill and light snow falling in Thompson. We're seeing temperatures hover close to minus 25. Snow on its way for Dauphin and Gimli, Dauphin and Brandon tomorrow.
As one of my colleagues said back in the day, it's a Monday.
It's
a Monday. Thanks for spending it with us, everyone. Take care, be well, and we're back again tomorrow with another edition of Information Radio right here on CBC. Have a warm day.